device. USB digital audio. Okay. Is that better?
Oh shoot, placards. Wait, Elena. Where are the placards, man?
Wait, so
where's the placard?
We have no placards for our last meeting. They're in Georgia.
Why? Oh,
Elena is in Georgia.
she took it?
Accidentally. It's fine. I'm gonna draw.
No,
Is she coming for our last meeting though?
It should be on
Today's
the
our
list.
last meeting.
I can see.
Today's our last GBM of this Sunday.
Wait, what's next week?
Next week is
I need to
our
what?
first meeting.
It's inauguration. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I need to get it out.
Yeah, I'm making my dress this weekend.
Hopkins Group. I'm
Oh my
pulling up right now.
gosh. I need to get
Can you see it? It's on
a
enough.
birthday outfit. Yay.
No! We have nice things happening today. Really nice bill, secret, and
Wait.
the bill is teaching everyone in SGA. For the last meeting.
Yes.
Yeah, but I didn't link it because I wanted to teach you.
Elena's not here, meaning that
Elena will not be here.
yeah.
They did hear my selfie.
So she will be. She's
I'll
on
be right.
watch.
I'm gonna go.
Enjoy. Why are you doing it?
Say seniors.
Is this real blur?
Put your bag down. Man, I would really do it. I would teach you next semester. I would find a reason to teach you next semester. I don't know.
Ryan, no, honey.
Yeah, I was thinking that too. It's like something that's different. There it is. I have a question for the freshman class council. I have gift cards for in hand, and I need to take out freshmen and sophomores to talk about going to Israel for free. It's a job I have, and you get free food, and you get to hang out with me. So if any of you are interested, then
You said that at the beginning of the year.
Second thing is a
No, I already went to Israel, and it was really great.
Oh, so you just have to tell us about it.
Yeah, I basically just be like, you guys should go on this free trip because I want this free trip.
Even if we're not Jewish.
Yeah, it's for non-Jewish students. Either.
Oh, it is?
Yeah, I wasn't Jewish when I went.
Okay, I think we were talking about
I'm not talking about French.
and I was like, because I remember I like went to like Shabbat.
Probably different.
We have
Oh
it
my
up.
god, go you!
Oh, go Elena.
But then someone walked up to me and was like,
It says I need to download their media.
It was Rachel.
Wait, can I see it, Lena?
Someone walks in, she's like, are you Jewish and do you want to go on birthright? Because she gets paid for every person that gets to go. I also
Hi,
get paid
Elena.
if I get you guys to go. But it's free, and I did it.
When is it?
Free. It's usually over summer, sometimes over winter. It depends on what the trip is. It's like a week. YOLO. It's great. Harvey, I can't talk to you about it.
Yeah, no, I was telling Ireland that whenever anyone asks me about birthright, my default response at this point is, I'm sorry, I am Jewish, that is a correct thing, but I'm an IS major, so I have complicated political stances on
Valid.
this.
It's not even like a political one where you're going. It's like an experience the country. I ate so much food.
This is a heart, but you can't see the other.
Wait, I want a heart. I'll be the other heart. We got it. We did this during our meeting.
Love
There
that.
we go.
Okay, now I'm gonna leave you here with Kobe because my guess is he's gonna need help in like 30 seconds.
That sounds about right.
Summer vacation, school comes around just to end.
Where's the airplane menu bought?
I like your shirt. Like maybe in a rocket fight.
Where's the airplane? Airplane?
I wish I could help you.
Airplane menu bar at the top of your screen. I'm looking at the top of my screen.
Is this
Screen
from that?
mirroring. Hot 3. Oh wait.
Yeah, that's Hudson. Oh my god, oh my god, oh my god. Wait. Is it happening? Is it doing anything? Oh, it went away.
Enter.
It says present using wireless. Code is 3883.
okay, I do like these.
Please.
Should I put like these on the side?
Yeah, Elena's not here, so Elena's helping us on Zoom.
Something happened.
Oh, something happened. Oh.
Turned off.
No, it goes black and then it turns on. Right?
Okay. Oh my god.
Ryan, you're dead center. Oh, you were. Yeah, Kobe. You love to see it. Right? I brought the screens down.
Ryan mid-walk.
Jojo, pose.
Get it.
Pose.
Everything looks fine.
Oh my gosh.
Okay.
I'm so proud.
I'm really excited for
My has frozen.
yours is?
That's delightful.
Oh yeah, this does make your laptop kind of like lose its shit.
You'll have 4 guys.
Yeah, Yeah, where is everyone? It's 7:04. Where is everyone? Where's class council?
Oh, they're in there.
They're in.
Doing class council meeting. I'll go get them.
Okay.
Wait, tell them to just walk slowly.
Obi's on leave. Where's everyone?
Jean is sick.
Jean's sick. Okay, China's still gone. Obi's gone. Sophie's on her way. Who else are you guys missing? Out of your class council, who are you missing? Kobe, Rod, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Who? Shalala, do you know where she is? Can someone text Shalala?
Okay, is your live stream still good?
Yeah, Kobe's right here. We need Shalala. Can someone text Shalala?
And then,
Yeah,
it was at half. I think this is half.
I'm gonna have a feeling. Don't make me have my feeling. Oh my god. We have goodbye frowny face on the agenda, okay? Oh no.
You know what? Is this good enough?
I just can't see the agenda.
Oh yeah. I'll just switch the people register and then I'll switch over to the agenda.
Tonight?
Like you this will show you the agenda, right?
I can't drink.
Okay. So I'm just gonna let people
You can drink
check
some
in and then we'll switch.
water. Yeah. You're gonna get
Okay,
lit.
you actually should though.
I feel like anyone on the street can come. I just feel like
I
it'd
have
be
to
a nice.
come to
I have a feeling
after
like
you get so I can like stop.
It is always 21 up, right? There's no
You're-
way.
As long as you can find a drink, yes. There's no.
I got you. Really?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Yeah.
No, who are you
You know
missing?
what I mean?
Besides me.
I feel like that would be fun. Even if it's just for like a little 10, 15 minutes. Just be like a
Is
little.
Nos breaking fast? Is that what you say? Do you know?
I'm in full screen right now.
Like 7:35, 7:40.
Should I unfull screen?
That's the fast rate.
I mean, I can maybe. I think we will do that for another time when I understand this better. We set it up. Jinkly, but it's alive.
Bye, Elena.
don't ask me the professor.
Wait. Are we split screening the agenda and
I'm just
this?
gonna keep it registered and then we'll hop over to the
Great. I fuck with that too.
No, because it's on Mac, it's fine.
Math.
Okay. Where are the seniors? Because we need to start. Okay. I can't start without them because this is their birthday. Oh, look at I like the texture of your jacket, Mahek. Unless it's yours, William, which you said like the texture. Bye, Lena. What? I don't want to start without them. Even if it's quorum.
I can go get them.
Everybody, sign into campus groups.
You're already stealing my job. You can't wait.
You know how long it took for me to set this up. I'm very proud of myself.
Okay, cool. Y'all made
I'll
it.
find one.
Zoom in, man. Zoom in.
We have it.
Thank you.
Stop making me sad.
No, because I didn't realize you're having the next meeting.
No, but you guys won't be there. Yeah, shut up. Did you get a snack? Might as well.
We're ready to
Are all the seniors here? Are we missing any seniors? Okay, I'm okay.
I can stay up here.
Yeah, you can stay up here. Alrighty, friendos. Oh, I need my
How is everyone doing? Can you let me grab all my backpack? It's in
Having double audio.
all good. You have another meeting, okay, and you're here for another year.
I have another year
So-
of meetings, to be honest.
So, but not with me leading it. Alrighty. Welcome to Senate meeting number 25. Can I get a motion? Great. Can I get a second?
Second.
All in favor? Any opposed? Any abstentions? All right. We are now in Senate meeting number 25. We're going to go ahead and do call to order and roll call. I'm going to pull up attendance real quick. Starting off with the executive board, Elena is watching the live stream right now, so that's where she is. So Brianna, here. Mehek.
Here.
Elena, on live stream. Karen, went to the bathroom. Nathan. Angela.
She's sick. She's absent.
Okay.
Or she has an exam.
Okay. Grace. Nikki. Nobody can talk today. It's fine. It's fine. Pritika. Suba. Veda. Talia. Trinette. Not here. Jiwon. Obi. Not here. Peter. Reed. Sophie. Sophie's running late? Yeah, she's ready. Okay. Kobe.
Here.
Harvey.
Present.
Ireland. Jenny. Rachel.
Yeah.
Raj. Shalala. Ryan. Dollheart. Iris. Jackson. Jean is sick. Gaia. Nas is coming late. The sign-in page? Yeah. Go ahead. We'll let everybody sign in. So now that we've done call to order and roll call, we're going to go ahead and move into executive board and SGA branch reports. Mehek.
Hi guys, welcome to our last GBM of this academic calendar.
We made it.
We made it. Quick updates. We're gonna have inauguration next week. It's gonna be on Tuesday at 5:30. It's gonna be in the freshman. Come if you're going to be on SGA next year, and even if you're not, it's free food, so why not? We have our President Daniels event on Thursday at 6. We want everyone to get there at 6. It begins at 6:30, so if you're going to be a little late, that's fine. Our storytellers are going to be announced there. It's going to be a great event. We look forward to seeing everyone there. Also, I'm going to be leaving, so it's been such an amazing year serving with you guys. You guys have made SGA so worth it.
Ever. Oh my gosh.
And I know that, now that I'm leaving SGA and it's all in your hands, I just know that it's going to flourish and it's going to do so well next year. Definitely will not fall apart. Don't listen to Brianna's little side conversation. But yeah, thank you guys for such an amazing year, and I'm so proud to be your guys' president.
For vice president reports, I am not leaving. You guys are stuck with me for another year. But for the President Daniels event, which is this Thursday, and everybody should be there, and for inauguration, which everybody should really be there, it's business casual / like semi-formal kind of vibes. So like no t-shirts, no ripped jeans, no shorts, no crop tops, that kind of thing. Just try to look kind of classy, Leadership awards, however, are formal. If you were nominated or you nominated someone, you are invited to leadership awards. Carolyn has the date. She's running behind, but whenever she comes, we'll give that update. That one is formal. I will be wearing a gown. If anybody needs to borrow clothes, let me know. I have plenty to share if you are vaguely my size. We had our executive board meeting today, and we also have had the executive transition meeting as a group, which was last week, I believe.
Last week on Monday.
Yeah, last week. So we've had a couple of transition meetings. Make sure you guys are doing your transition docs. The deadline for that is either coming up or has just passed.
It's on May 1st.
Yeah, it's very soon. So if you need help writing your transition docs, it's usually the response. Yeah.
So your class council needs to make a transition doc for the next class council, and then each committee head needs to make a transition doc for the next incoming committee, and then each executive position makes a transition doc for the next people.
That feels pretty far.
Yeah, it's like 2 weeks.
Yeah, but do you know how they take a very long time?
You want to compile every single thing you did.
And the step by step for every single thing that you did. So for example, for sophomore garden party, you guys will write for sophomore garden party. This is sophomore garden party. It's mandatory. Tradition that we do, you'll say the money that you used, step by step, how you booked all the vendors, all of the vendors you booked, any issues that you encountered, the turnout. It's very much data heavy. I recommend you start this week. If you need help with it, let us know. We can help. You can also look at past transition docs as an example. I know when I wrote the freshman transition doc, we hid secret words in ours. It was chinchilla and pineapple and a couple other things. So you can make them a little fun. But you don't have to. If you need help, let us know. Beyond that, at our executive meeting today, it was very sad. It was our last executive meeting with Mehek and Karen there. And Elena's on Zoom, so it was very emotional. This might get emotional today. It's very sad. But we're happy that you guys are moving on into your future lives, and thank you for everything you've done for SGA. Also, Obi is counted as a senior because she's graduating early, but she's not here today. So honorary Obi is somewhere over there. Anyway, happy Blue Jay Tuesday. And treasurer is not here. Yeah, you are. You came back. Hello.
Hi, I guess we just did monthly grants this week, so the submission has now been closed. So all monthly grants have been reviewed, barring the one that we need to review tonight. Oops. Also, I met with Kaya for our transition meeting last night. I think it went pretty well. Hopefully you're not confused. And then I don't even know what else. Yes, the customized Tumblr things that we were supposed to have 2 months ago, they're finally coming.
Yay!
3 days after 2 months, yes. So, I don't know what we're planning on doing with that, either some informal thing or people next year can use it, but
We're gonna try to have a tabling event for the new people on SGA, but that is to be determined.
New people on SGA actually have to have a meet and greet within a set amount of time after the election. We usually do it after the first GBM. So look forward to that if you are a new person.
And also, I'm now helping Subo with the food truck thing for the event because I gave up pulled out last minute, so now we're going for a different vendor.
It's gonna be great.
Yeah, so that's my update.
All right, Executive Secretary, can you pull out your phone? Elena is not able to be here today. She sent us updates in the exec chat. I believe she said, I will miss the seniors is one of them. Working on transition stuff and prepping for next year. Have a great last meeting, and I'll miss everyone who's leaving very much. From Elena. Alrighty, we're gonna go ahead and move on to class council reports. It's your last class council report. Go ahead.
Thanks for that. Hello, everyone. Not that you would tell from a certain newsletter article, but we're still basking in the success of our Met Gala event. We had the anonymous feedback form that went out, and that had 5 stars all across the board. So that was great to see. Otherwise, still just working on senior week stuff. This is the last time I'm at GBM, but that doesn't mean that the institution doesn't continue to put me to work. So we will continue to be working on senior week stuff all through graduation. So looking forward to that.
We're really excited about that. So we're having a full lineup for senior week, and we plan on actually announcing the full thing probably beginning of next week. So.
Okay, next, take it away.
All right. Yeah, we're just in the process of figuring out our event on Friday in terms of setup, cleanup for it. Yeah, it should be a nice time. If any of you all want to volunteer to help with the event, that would be greatly appreciated. I understand everyone's busy, but an hour or so here or there would be super helpful. And yeah, that's about all we've been up to.
Alrighty, next.
Yeah, we are also wrapping up the end of our school year. Last meeting we had a wonderful special guest stop by, but we've had a good year, and hopefully we'll have more good years to come.
Beautiful, freshman.
The update for this week and the next is that we are still event planning because we decided to do ours on the last week possible. So with that, that's all. Yeah.
Alrighty, well that concludes class council reports. We'll move on to our final committee reports, academic affairs.
Yeah, kind of sad that this is our final committee report for the year, but we met on Sunday for the last time to expand our focus groups, and we're expecting some great things from them over the summer and next year in terms of Q2 and evaluation. We also talked about projects they would continue pursuing next year and some transition stuff. And finally, we made a graphic that kind of maps out a point of contact list for every admin at Hopkins. So we'll be sending that out and putting those in our transition documents, and we hope that that helps in future years.
Great, civic engagement.
Yeah, so we still have a couple of unfinished business, so even though our SGA session will be coming to an end, we still have a lot of projects that will carry over, and we have a lot of voting related things and election day things.
Beautiful. Finance. Someone want to report for finance, or we can skip it because Karen gave the update. That sound good to you, Karen? Okay. If finance did anything different than what Karen said for treasurer stuff, let me know. No? Okay. HSS?
Yeah, we have a bill to pass today for the farmers market. We're getting like cute tote bags. Rachel will present more about it. Also, I forgot to mention in the junior class council update that we have over 200 people registered, and it's not raining on Friday, so it will be on.
Nice. Very excited. I am registered as well. IA.
No update. Always.
There is an update for IA. On the agenda, we have constitutional amendments.
Yeah, we actually never looked at that.
You were supposed to. I waived committee approval for it because you guys have been having your focus group meetings, but that is an internal affairs thing. So hopefully everybody had a chance to look at those and go through and make any comments that you want. It's going to be when we're going through the amendments. I met with Carolyn and we discussed the actual format for how we're supposed to approve amendments. So I'll talk about that once we hit that general area. Hopefully she'll be here, but we're not sure. Moving on to student orgs.
Oh, that's me.
Yeah, it is.
See, joke's on you, this is actually my last report. Yeah, so we just had our closing up meeting, so we talked a lot about what our ask would be for student organization re-registration next year, talked about what are the important things to have for transition documents, both for chairs and members, and then just kind of generally reflected on what are the things that worked really well over the year, what are the things that didn't work so well, and then we kind of came up with some action items for the next year to kind of hit the ground running as soon as they were appointed, and we're really excited for, I think it's going to be an awesome year for student orgs. But yeah, that's it. My last report.
No more talking. Student services.
Not much updates. Still working on pre-printing and just getting transportation to airport, and hopefully this is something that we continue in the next administration, I guess.
Beautiful. Moving on to caucus reports. Apita.
Yeah, so we were unable to meet this past week, but we still have our same goals and are still meeting with APIA vote.
Black Caucus. Anybody want to present on behalf of the Black Caucus? I don't think they had a meeting because Obi's on leave. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Correct.
Okay, beautiful. We will gloss over that. Disability.
So, the past few weeks, at least for myself, have certainly been rather tumultuous. And because of that, we haven't had a meeting since the last update I gave. So there isn't much in the way of new developments for the caucus. However, given that this is the last GBM for this session, I nonetheless wanted to take a moment to say thank you for the creation of this caucus. It's been incredibly meaningful, and I think that we've done a lot of good work towards furthering a lot of important and progressive policies that will be helpful for giving disabled students like myself a voice next year. And I also wanted to say thank you to Senators Ireland as well as Secretary Elena, because they really championed this, and they have been incredible colleagues in this endeavor. So thank you very much.
Nikki, WGMC.
Wow.
You gotta follow that, yeah.
Executives, the SGA exec board decided that we're going to host the town hall next year. So WGMC is going to be preparing for that town hall with the OAE and student conduct with the rest of the members, and especially the transition for exec. And I guess to follow what Harvey said, thank you guys for holding the space.
Got you. All right, and then really briefly, Latinx Caucus. I have some people who are interested in it for next year. So if you think you might want to chair it next year, please let me know. If you know the other new members who are coming in and you think they might want to chair it, again, let me know, because we do actually have enough interest to make the caucus. Speaking really briefly on committees, if you are a member of next year's Senate, you should have gotten an email from Kobe about committee stuff. We are sorting into committees, and next week will be a pretty packed agenda, so just make sure you guys are here on time for next week. Carolyn got here just in time for the advisor report, as she plans to, I'm assuming. But yeah, advisor report, take it away.
Ooh, I don't think I wrote anything down, but for sure, this week is the President Daniel storytelling events. Y'all talk about it?
Yep.
Okay.
We also covered inauguration
All right.
and leadership awards.
So don't forget, show up and be great, maybe, just to add. I have one person reach out about helping with Spring Fair, so if you'd like to volunteer for Spring Fair, I can send you that information. We are still looking for volunteers. It's going to be a huge deal, so if anyone went to riding of the quads, like imagine that on like 10 times bigger. Yes, you want.
We got a backstage pass. You
To
can volunteer.
Spring Fair?
For the concert.
Oh, for the concert?
We got a backstage pass if you volunteer.
So I don't think so.
It'd be a great, like,
Such a politician.
If you would like to volunteer for Spring Fair, though, you can test it and find out.
Honestly, 50-50, go first. Honestly, I'll be there for concert.
Okay.
To add on.
Yeah, and congrats on an amazing year. I know that this was the last Senate meeting. It's been a pleasure working with all of you this year. And for the folks who are returning, see you next week. But for the folks who this is their last meeting, congrats on a job well done.
Also, if you're not graduating, fill out the email about. Yeah. Okay.
Beautiful. Okay, so that concludes all of our reports for the last time this year. I'm just going to keep milking that. So moving on to new business, we have the Graduation Stoles and Cords Funding Bill presented by Grace. So you can go ahead and pull it up. You got it. You're doing my job for me. This is wonderful. You can come up to here to present it. We're going to start doing that. Of course, we're going to start it during our last meeting, really set a precedent. You have about 5 minutes to go ahead and present. If you need anything from me, let me know. You're good to go.
All right, basically, I would like some chords. I feel like
You
the
personally.
seniors have contributed a lot to this organization, especially since pretty much all of them have contributed more than 1 year. So we have Mahak and Nathan who contributed 4 years, Curtis has contributed 3, and then the rest of us, including Obi, have all contributed 2 years. And so I think it would be really nice, sort of as like a token of gratitude, for some chords, and then also stoles. Does anyone have any questions?
I have a question. Wait, I forgot how this works.
We're gonna go ahead. Are you finished? Are you finished presenting? We can get a motion for a Q&A.
Motion for a 5-minute Q&A with 1 minute speaking notice.
Could I get a second?
Second.
All in favor of moving into a say what you 5-minute Q&A with 1 minute speaking times? Please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Nay.
Any abstentions? Okay, we're gonna go ahead and do roll call.
Is this because it's the last GBA? Just like passing.
Oh, that doesn't mean we shouldn't. If other people have questions, we should let them have questions. All right, roll call. Say your name and your vote when I point at you.
Yay.
Elhart, yay.
Jackson, yay.
Please speak really loud. Harvey.
Aye.
Raj, aye.
That Nathan.
Kobe, yay.
Nathan, aye.
Kobe, I.
Suba, aye.
Do you want?
It's a long voting test. Does to support him, nay.
You shouldn't change your vote. If
I did not change my vote. I did not say anything. Nay.
that you're supposed. In the future, everybody should be voting on everything, so this doesn't happen.
Aye.
Reed, nay.
Beta, yay.
Okay, we're now on a 5-minute Q&A with 1 minute speaking times. First speaker is Jackson. Raise your hand if you'd like to be added to the speakers list.
I would like to yield my time to whoever's next.
All right, it's going to be Talia, Peter, and then Jiwon. Talia, go ahead.
Does this include people graduating in December?
AKA, I wanted it.
December of this year?
This year.
We're only doing different classes.
Yeah, so
They can't run for SGA next year if they graduate early.
it's also, point of information, money that we buy things from this year doesn't work for next year, right? Like, if we can't pass a funding bill to fund something for next year.
Can we keep this?
I think that's not. So that's true, but I don't think that's what she got.
We buy it. We
buy
put an
it
extra
now
cord.
and then you wait 6 months.
Yeah. I went for
Okay, that's up to you guys if you want to add an extra. You can motion for a friendly amendment later on. Yes.
Yes, that's what she is.
I didn't know that either. She's leaving. Okay.
Can I point of information?
Yes.
How many December 2022 graduates do we have right now?
Whoa.
What year graduate?
December of 2022.
Oh, December. Oh, wow.
Why did you raise your hand so much?
It's been a hard semester.
Okay, so once we're out of the Q&A, we can friendly amend to add 2 chords possibly.
And 2 stalls.
2 chords and 2 stalls.
2 chords and 2 stalls, whatever. The two thingamajiggers.
Peter also was on that.
Yeah. Moving on to the. Do you yield your time, Talia?
Yes.
Peter.
I was gonna ask.
Aha! Nice. All right. Do you yield your time?
Yes.
Juan.
Motion to close Q&A.
Second.
All in-
I just want to answer a question. So that should be 55 right now because when I was looking at the chords, I wanted to do there's a mixed chord and then so it's blue and white and then there's
can't
a
change it
solid
right now.
chord. What I was gonna do is because I wanted people who contributed more time to have more chords, but it also having 4 chords which can be kind of ridiculous. So the mixed chord would be for 2 years and then the solid chord would be for 1 year. Pratika's the only one with 3 and an odd number, so she gets 2 like that. That's the reason why it's at 55.
Okay, so we have to amend since we can't change it in the form that is, that will have to be a friendly amendment to change it to 5 to 55. Oh, before GBM?
That was how I was
Okay,
doing it.
can you change it to 55 then?
Why
There
is
you go.
17?
What point of information?
Probably ask that question right now.
The Stoll website and it changed the amount because we added the other people and then the design was updated.
Okay, we cannot change the bill that has been presented unless we friendly amend. So however it was, leave it how it was, and then we'll edit it later. In the future, we'll be doing this in PDFs, not Google Docs, and we'll just have to make another copy, because apparently that's how we are supposed to be doing it. So yeah, you see Carolyn nodding in the background. So yes, motion to close. I recognize the motion to close. Second, all in favor of closing the Q&A? Any opposed? Any, let me finish. Any abstentions? No? Q&A is closed. I will take a motion for example, a friendly amendment.
Or a point of information.
Or a point of information. I heard a never mind. Anybody would like to friendly amend? Yes.
Well, this is sort of a question. So how many are we doing? Because these numbers are based on the 10 that we originally had, so if we're adding.
Okay. Point of information from my own. Okay. So basically, how it worked is that me, you, and you have 1 chord.
Not even chords. No, yeah, it's about everything. Like, how many are we ordering?
We're ordering 11 chords total for the 9 people that I didn't know about you 3, so I was not calculating.
2. You
You 2.
There's 3 of them.
There are 3 of them.
Who's the third?
Peter is also with
Peter
us.
and
It's just
Talia.
Peter and Talia.
Oh, I thought G1, you were.
No, G1 just wanted to talk earlier.
One's just loud.
Okay, guys, we're still in point of information. Grace, continue.
My bad. So, my structure for this, because of the chords, was that there was a mixed chord that was blue and white, that would represent 2 years, and then a solid chord would represent 1 year. Since these 4 years, they get 2 of the mixed chords. And then the rest of us, the 2 years, get 1 of the mixed chord, and then you get a mixed chord and a solid chord because you've done 3 years. That was how it was done.
Point of
That's why they're
information. How many years do you have in SGA, Talia?
2.
Peter? Okay, so that will be 2 more additional chords added on. So, Suba, would you like to make a friendly amendment to add 2 chords to this total? You can go ahead and say that.
I would like to friendly amend to whatever amount is necessary to add to.
Can you figure out that amount? When we're making friendly amendments, we have to have the exact.
65.
You have to redo it on the website because they do it by number.
Oh.
So I can do the stalls right now. So, motion to amend the stall amount to $42 per stall and $462 total is the current one.
Okay, can I get a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? All right, The amendment is accepted. Even if they're friendly amendments, we're still voting just to make sure it went through. So can you confirm that that is the correct amendment?
That's the correct, we're looking at.
Yeah, we're looking at chords now. Okay, I'll take a friendly amendment for the chords whenever we have the calculation. We can't do that. We have to give exact amounts when you're friendly amending. You're all good. Guys, can we please minimize side conversations since we are still in discussion about a bill? Harvey. If we don't come up with something soon, we will have to table this until the end of the meeting and come back because we have a really packed meeting today. Suba.
Oh. Motion friendly amend the first one for the 65.
Second.
Great. Can I, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Well, I said we're not doing friendly amendments for today. Even though we're saying they're friendly, we reviewed Parley Pro. That doesn't really exist, so we're still voting on everything. So yeah, is that the correct amendment? Once. Is this the correct amendment, Suba? Does that look good?
Yes.
Alrighty.
Yo, you guys all go hot. Like, what? You're down. Baby, you're playing Mexico, bro?
No, 527. 527 is right. Alrighty, can I get him? Read. Guys, please stop side conversations. Read.
What happens with like tax and like shipping? Is that like is that included in there?
We don't consider tax when we're doing this sort of thing.
Because we have no representation.
So is it just like extra money or like is that
It's a funding thing that doesn't happen on our end of it. We just come up with the expected cost of the actual items. But Karen can elaborate if necessary. Otherwise, we're good. Good.
Motion
Okay.
to pass the bill. Motion to.
Motion to move into voting. We all forgot how SGA works. Can I? Would you like to motion to vote?
Motion to vote.
Can I get a second? All in favor of moving into voting procedure on this bill, please say aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? No? Okay. We're now in voting procedure on this bill. Everyone in favor of passing this bill, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Congrats! Y'all get some cords and some skulls. I don't know why that was so difficult. Like, no, it's good. I just forgot how to function. Okay, we're moving on to the next. We're gonna move on to the next item on the agenda. The next item on the agenda. The next item on the agenda. I don't want to use my gavel. It's loud. Oh my goodness. The next. Oh my God. This is the last meeting I can use my gavel. Otherwise, Kobe gets it. SGA Shop Local Tote Funding Bill. So we can go ahead, read through here. Whoever is presenting this bill, if you would like to go ahead and present this bill, I believe Senator Huang. So you can take it away. You can come up to the front. About 5 minutes to present. Hopefully everybody's had a chance to read through this, see all of that kind of stuff. Go ahead whenever you're ready.
This is basically from HSS. It's a funding bill for Shop Local tote bags. If you see the designs right there, I designed it, so if you think it looks ugly, sorry. Basically, it's gonna be handed out at the farmers market from 8 a.m. to 12 p.m. And if you scroll down, it's gonna be on Saturday, April 29. And it's gonna be 702. It's gonna be 100 tote bags and 662 for each one.
Point of information. This is the farmer's market that's like...
The Waverly Farmers Market.
Got it.
Yeah, by my house. You guys can come hang out with me. Okay. Do you want to yield the rest of your time for presentation? Okay, I see Harvey first.
I'm not sure if this is a point of information, but now that we've started talking about taxes and there's a tax on that, I'm confused.
If it doesn't have tax, finance can figure it out. If we do include tax, finance doesn't have to do any other work.
Okay.
Is that correct, Karen? Please correct me. Great,
So point of information, should it only be $662?
Correct. I believe that is. Karen, can you go ahead and finance passed this. So in the format it stands, funding bills, we typically don't have to worry about the actual numbers because finance has reviewed it. But in this case, the 702 total includes tax, but you said that they're tax exempt. So should we reduce it to the total before tax?
Yes, reduce it to the total before tax. Also, I told Angela this last night, but the custom stuff usually takes a very long time. So even though if we pass it now, I don't know how long it will take to get through because there's a lot of like custom stuff. So I told her to have a backup in case that they can use the money for this. I don't know if that's
Okay.
something needed in the bill.
No, not right now. They would come up with another bill in case there's a situation which prevents this from happening at the time. Then the next administration will pass it
So this would need to work in 17 days. Cause like it's.
by April 29th. Yeah. So Custom Ink usually has a guarantee within a week, but they very rarely follow it for big orders such as this. Like you can, sometimes they'll be like, it will come in at this time, and then it actually doesn't, and it takes 2 months, and then we work really hard on it. So, yeah. Karen, are you finished with your point of information? Talia?
Can I friendly amend it?
Yes, we're going to stray away from friendly amendments and vote on all amendments, just so we have a record of it for the future. So instead of friendly amendment, just say I motion to amend, and then we'll go ahead and vote on whatever you say. When you amend things, make sure you have the specific language. So for example, I motion to amend the amount of 702 and change it to like 6 whatever it is. Well, yeah, whatever. Something like that. It would be a proper form for an amendment. Carolyn, correct me. I'm getting nods. Perfect. Love that. So I recognize Talia, and then I'll ask you to.
I motion to amend to 662 for the amount.
Alrighty, can I get a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Alright, the amount has been amended to 662 in both locations. Raj?
I motion for a 3-minute moderating caucus with 45 seconds.
Can I motion for another friendly amendment before you guys?
I recognize his motion first, so that will happen first, and then we will amend after. So can I get a second?
Second.
All in favor of moving into a 3-minute moderated caucus with 45 seconds speak? Does that math work?
Don't worry about it.
Yeah? I have to worry about it. Yeah, great. 3-minute moderated caucus with.
Point of order. In Robert's rules, I'm looking up right now, if you have a friendly amendment, it doesn't need to be seconded.
They're not friendly amendments anymore.
But what I'm saying is it doesn't need to be seconded. So you can still vote on it, but it doesn't need to be seconded.
Correct, but they're not friendly amendments, they're just amendments. I'm sorry, we
So
like
point
got
of
rid
order,
of.
Jackson, a friendly amendment means they've surveyed the entire legislature and not a single person has objected to it.
Yeah.
Right, so that's not the procedure that we're going through. We're going through the motion just to amend. In those cases, it's something that's just gonna be set as a vote to the legislature.
Yeah, it's just for record keeping purposes. We went through some stuff and figured out that we should be doing amendments and not friendly amendments because we're not surveying and being like, hey, is everybody cool with this? Because that takes too long. It's quicker to just amend, do a real quick vote instead of whatever. Anyways, we're currently motioning for a 3-minute moderated caucus with 45-second speaking times. All in favor? Any opposed? Any abstentions? We're now in a 3-minute moderated caucus with 45-second speaking times.
Can I point of order real quick?
Yep.
For the bill, would changing the logo be considered a semantic change that I could do without us?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Another point of information to Carolyn, would an SGA tabling funding bill being renamed to the actual things, I'm assuming they just copy the template, would that be just a semantic thing that doesn't change it? This is not the right title for this bill. Okay, so we can change that without voting on that because it doesn't change the meaning of the actual bill. I thought that was pretty entertaining. All right, so I have Jackson. Nope.
I think these are.
Raj, I messed that up. Raj, Shalala, Talia, Reed. Raj, go ahead.
Yeah, I like the idea of this, but before I'm on board, I do have a couple of questions. My first question is, it's more of just a logistical. Is there a back to the bag and it's just not pictured? And my second question is.
This is a moderated caucus, not a Q&A.
Yeah,
Okay.
I can yield time now.
Okay, great.
And
Just want to
my
turn
second question is, will our SGA branding or logo be on it? Because I understand, like, if the whole point is to, like, promote goodwill and show, like, our commitment to, either serving the student body by, giving them stuff they can use in a practical sense, I think it wouldn't make sense to not have our logo in it, because then that defeats the purpose. They won't associate, this entire event with us and any of our branding. And yeah, those are just some of the things I'd like to see amended before I go through.
10-second warning. Yield your time. You want to yield your time?
I yield my time to.
Great.
No back, and we were originally had other logos that had the SGA bird on it, but since like there's like 5 colors on the bird, it would be more expensive if we used the SGA bird, so we opted for this one. But we can still use the table and things from the SGA table, such as the big that.
The banner?
Banner.
That'd be kind of cool to have a monochrome.
Your time has expired, but we can add you back on the list if you want. Everyone who's on here will max out our time, so if you are not on the list, you will not be on here unless we extend the moderated caucus. Shalala?
I just wanted to answer Roger's question. For us to submit like another like local, it would have to be only approved. It would take longer to order. So if we did change it, we probably wouldn't get it on time. I think my question was that like if we're tax exempt, how does that work? Like does finance just order it directly and they say we're tax exempt?
You want to yield your time to Karen?
I'll order it and I have a tax system, so it's all I'll figure it out.
Beautiful. Talia?
Yeah, I think that since this is our last, I get like making it associated with SGA, but since it's the last meeting, I think we should just print it as it is, so we don't have to worry about like creating this new whole thing. I hope that's okay with everyone. The other thing is, I was thinking to friendly amend it so that we could change the date in case the items don't come in time. Not change the date, but like we would have backup dates that are later to give out at the farmers market. So I can do that later.
Okay, that would be a good amendment to suggest afterwards. Reed, you are the last one on the speakers list.
Yeah, so like, are we giving it out to only Hopkins students? Are we selling it for a certain amount of money? Like, why is Hopkins funding it? I yield my time to Rachel.
So we're not selling it for anything. We're giving it out to free to probably Hopkins students if they can show proof that they're Hopkins students to promote more people going to the farmers market and shopping local.
We're incentivizing going to the farmers market by doing a giveaway basically for Hopkins students that can prove they're Hopkins students. Did I say that correctly?
Yeah.
Yeah, cool. The moderated caucus is expiring in now. So if anybody would like to motion for anything, I recognize Jackson.
Motion to extend the moderated caucus by 5 minutes.
Okay, you had like 2 seconds left. Can I get a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Let's try it again. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? It was 5 minutes. Same. It's 5 minutes, extended by 5 minutes, same speaking time. Does that math work? I'm not going to think about the math. It doesn't work, but whatever. It's fine. All right, moderated caucus has been extended by 5 minutes. Jackson is first on the speaking list. Yield?
Yeah, I was just gonna say,
Dahlhart.
I think that it's pretty important. Like I've been to the farmers market before. There's not a lot of JHU students that really know about it, and I honestly think that we gain a lot, kind of just like as a Hopkins community, especially like kind of breaking the bubble by working to get more students to do things that aren't just on a breezeway or stuff like that, but actually like go outside of Hopkins. And I think that this is a good way to both do that and hopefully support local businesses.
10-second warning.
I don't know. That's just my thoughts. I think it's worth it. I think we should vote for this. And I yield the rest of my time.
Great. I'm next on the speakers list. I agree. I literally live in a row house that like the parking lot that the farmers market is in is where I park my car. So I live there. I go to the farmers market every single Saturday and they're really good. Like it's good quality food. It's going to help people, eat healthier. It's going to incentivize people to leave campus. We're going to be supporting local businesses and increasing engagement with the greater Baltimore community for, not very much money because we don't have to pay for tax. So even if it's just like a little giveaway thing, something to incentivize people to go, it can't necessarily hurt and we have the money to do it. I agree with the points about the logo. It would be nice if it had SGA, but it takes a whole lot longer to get it approved if it has SGA with the coloring and the branding through the branding office. So I understand why they did it this way. I also do support the amendment to plan on setting up a table. I would just say plan on setting up a table at X, Y, or Z dates, just in case something happens, it's rainy, it comes in late, something like that, as long as you guys have a way for accountability. I believe my time is expiring, which means Dahlhart is next.
I kind of agree with what Raj was saying about putting the logo on it, because I think we've been talking about how some of our SGA tabling events are just kind of like, we want to be giving out stuff that's actually going to promote SGA in some way and not just spending money to hand out things that are unmarked at the table.
Point of information. This is not an event to promote SGA.
Yeah.
Okay.
But like, regardless, I think like the work of SGA is to like give like the image of SGA. So like, I'm just wondering like pricing on the back, like why couldn't there just be black letters in the corner that say like JHU SGA or something? Like, is that like a branding thing? Like just because it's the letters, even if it's not the logo?
If we do anything that has like Hopkins brand on it, I don't know the exact thing, but it's a really, really tedious process because you can only use like certain hex codes for the colors and you can only use certain fonts for the text, especially if we're giving it out as a Hopkins org. It will take literally like a month extra, and that's like, it's a huge process. If we had more GBMs after this, I would say, yeah, go for it, but because we don't, that is the answer. Raj.
Yeah, I was just gonna piggyback off Dalhart. I was gonna say, like, I do like the idea, and I think it's a great concept, but I think, like, as a precedent, we should always, anything we fund as an organization should have our branding to solidify unity and, or what SGA does and what we do for the student body. And I think, anything that we fund personally should have our logo. And I think, when you were saying about the specific hex codes and, color options, JHU does have a variety of hex codes available, and black is one of them, so monochrome could have been it.
You still have to get it sent through the branding office, unfortunately.
Just as an example,
Yeah.
The building with the vegetables, and it could have been, just replaced with our logo or put side by side with it. But yeah, I think like as an organization, it doesn't make sense to fund something that people won't associate with us. It could be some cost.
Okay, we have 2 more people on the speakers list. I will put myself on. Would anybody else like to be added? Nathan, sorry, is all his hand first. So, I actually disagree. I don't think it's a sunk cost thing. I think, like, if this was a tabling event or something that all of SGA was doing, yeah, sure, put our name on it, especially if it's something to be improving the image on campus. But this isn't, like, for SGA in any way. Like, this is for the students, and it's supposed to be promoting sustainability, which is why we have a Shop Local sustainability logo on it. And I know that the HSS worked really hard to come up with a logo that was simple, and they tried to include like the Hopkins bird or that kind of thing. But I get your point. I think that we should include logos and such on things that go out in general, like if it's something that's not from a specific committee, like if it's a tabling event thing. But for something like this where it has a specific purpose and the purpose is just for sustainability and just for HSS reasons at the farmers market, it makes sense that it matches the theme of Shop Local and the farmers market, in my opinion. We have Nathan, and then we are out of time.
Yeah, I think I just wanted to take a moment to commend HSS for doing this, especially you, Rachel. I think like this is like we're focusing on one like very tiny detail of the bag, but this idea is really clever. This is something that's going to bring a lot of people to the farmers market. I just wanted to say like kudos. This is a really cool project. I hope it's one that continues into next year.
It's very creative. I agree. All right, our moderated caucus is going to be expiring in approximately 10 seconds. So we can either let it expire and motion to vote, or if you want to wait like 10 seconds, or I can get a motion for something else. We have like 4, 3. All right, I can take other motions. I see Suba and then Talia.
Oh, I was gonna motion for the amendment to add dates to the,
What specific dates would you like to add?
you.
Okay. Okay. What motion would you like?
Motion to amend, plan on setting up a table this Saturday of 4/30/22 or 5/7. And then I think that gives us enough time.
Okay. Beautiful. What do I say here? Can I get a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? All right, we're going to go ahead and do roll call for this amendment. Say your name and then say your vote.
Tanya, yay. Dalhart, yay. Iris, yay.
Jackson, yay.
Ryan, yay.
Kobe, yay.
Harvey,
Ireland, yay. Amy, yay.
Raj, nay.
Rachel, yay.
Nathan, aye.
Nikki, yay.
Suba, I.
Rebecca, aye.
Juwan.
Aye.
Say your name and then say it.
Oh, no, it's aye.
Reed, aye.
Rick, aye.
Vader, yay.
Alrighty, so this amendment has passed. Oh, I'm sorry, you're behind Juwan and I can't see you. Sophie, go ahead. I'm sorry. This amendment has passed with a majority in the Senate. I can now recognize other things.
Motion to amend PM to AM.
No.
Should it be 8 a.m., 8 p.m.? I mean, it's
12 p.m. is noon, right? Oh, I'm bad.
Yeah.
That's a semantic change, so yeah, we can do that. We don't need to vote on that. It's just that was just a typo. You can go ahead and change it.
Motion to vote.
I mean, technically it's 12 p.m., but like, it's not 8
Technically it
p.m.
does work, but
You know.
Semantics.
Can you just say 8 a.m. to noon?
People, it's fine.
We get it. Okay, beautiful. Love it. I'm recognizing Kobe's motion.
Motion to vote.
Can I get a second?
Point of information over.
Wait, I hear point of information.
Wait, do we use Robert's rules 12th or 11th edition?
The most recent.
that's 12 minutes.
Okay. I like that you guys are learning this, but it also scares me. So, what's your motion?
Motion to vote.
Can I get a second? Great. All in favor of moving into voting procedure? Any opposed? Any abstentions? We're now moving into voting procedure. All in favor of this bill passing the way it stands currently, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Alrighty, we're gonna go ahead and do roll call. Same thing. Say your name, say your vote.
Jackson, aye.
Kobe, A.
Art EA.
Raj,
Rachel, yeah.
Nathan, I.
Vicky, I.
Suba, I.
Ritika, I. Sai, I.
Peter, A.
Naz, I.
Reed I.
Rick, I.
Theta EA.
Sophie, I.
Alright, this bill passes with a majority in the Senate.
I have to put the numbers in.
Point of order.
What?
Can
Yeah.
I just make like one of my other like impacts here? Can we decide whether it's I or
Or yay! I know!
It's
Okay.
I, right?
It's I, not yay.
Okay.
Okay, so I,
Between nay and I,
yeah, because if you say nay and yay, it's too similar. So it's I and nay.
I and
Yeah, that's why we
nine.
have it that way. I was going to clarify that. You got it. All right. So
To a 1 minute caucus with 1 minute.
we can't. We have nothing on. We're not discussing anything. Once we get something to discuss, yes. But good try. Okay. Gavel time. If you guys thought those last two had discussions on them, wait till we get to the next item on the agenda. Constitutional amendments. We're going to be here forever. Okay. Hopefully everybody has gone to their focus groups or at least read this or commented or at least seen this before because these constitutional amendments are big changes. Please minimize side conversations. I'm not going to talk about that just happened. So yeah, Nathan is going to have 5 to 10 minutes to present this. If you want to give whatever you want to give, feel free. Do not make any changes on this document as of right now. The way it is being presented right now is the way that it will stand unless we finally amend something. Okay, Nathan, take it away.
I have a presentation that's linked.
Oh, you have a presentation that is linked in the doc?
Yes.
It's his name.
Oh, it's his name.
Oh, wow.
I was wondering why they were both
I'm fancy like that.
Oh my gosh.
Okay.
Canva.
So just to give us a brief summary, I'm going to spend about 10 minutes going through a broad overview of what these amendments look like. Hopefully you guys have had the chance to kind of go through the nitty-gritty. I've been really happy to answer any questions. This has been a pretty extensive process. And so I know that there can be things that get a little confusing because it's something that like me and Elena have been like just seeing for like 2 months nonstop. So if anything pops up, feel free to ask. But again, what the goal is to have tried to have gotten all that out of the way as much as possible prior to the meeting, just so we can make sure that we're respecting everyone's time and keeping this as efficient as possible. Also, it's my last week here, so don't make me sad. Lovely. So I'm gonna first off start by saying that this is supposed to be a co-presentation of me and Elena. Obviously Elena's not here. I'm gonna be presenting it right now, but I also just wanna make it very clear that this is definitely a joint venture. So I'm going to focus on 3 things: what motivated this, what was the process, and what are we proposing. So next slide, thank you. I'm going to be cheesy. All of you! Thank you. I actually pulled up the photo. It's in the photo share now. But I think we really do have an excellent team of people who are really dedicated to doing work on behalf of students, and we want to make sure that we have a constitution that really creates a structure that allows you to maximize your impact, right? To make you be the best person you can be. Next slide, please. So 2 main things, takeaways from the focus groups. People felt like they were pulled in far too many different ways. So thinking about programming, legislation, marketing for things, communicating about things, researching on policies. You're asked to do a ton of things, and sometimes that means that you do
that you feel as if you don't do any of the things particularly well because you're split in 20 different directions. So that was a broad theme that we heard across these focus groups. In addition, you're asked to advocate on behalf of all students as a group of 28, recognizing that you don't have all those experiences, right? So you're just one person, we're asking a lot of you. And then the other thing was that we can better equip you for success, right? So for instance, when did you learn parliamentary procedure? Was that really something that we very firmly went through? Did you get all the information necessary for you to understand the situation at hand when it came to something like a bill, right? Did we have all the information that was necessary for us to fully understand it so we could focus in on just the debate and not asking you guys to do research outside of here or do all these other things that we could potentially have other people supporting you in? Is our structure working for us? No. So part 2. So the process. We had 3 kind of phases to this. So I was actually going back through as I was making this, and our first photo is of January 30th, when we had a giant whiteboard, and we were just thinking about like, what is our structure, what is working and what is not. And Harvey was really helpful in that beginning ideation phase, so I just want to give him a shout out. And then what we really thought, before we even dived into like specific models, specific ideas, we looked at what are the models of our peer institutions, what are the things that seem to work really well for them, and what are the things that potentially are really good strengths of ours that we need to make sure that we keep. What are our preliminary ideas for what we initially assumed were the pain points, right? I think where we thought the pain points were very much seemed to match with where the focus groups were, but of course we just wanted to make sure that we were in a space where when we entered the conversations with you all, we could make sure that we were making best use of your time by asking questions that really got to the crux of what exactly are the issues and what is the best way we can do to potentially solve them. Then in March, we moved to focus groups. We tried things out. We just had some informal conversations. Kobe was our trial for our focus groups. We had a lovely one-on-one with him. And then we had 4 formal focus groups of senators at diverse times, locations, advertised in advance, so everyone had the opportunity to kind of weigh in. Then we have the formalized proposal that you all have seen now. I got an advanced copy. We did feedback in smaller groups. So certain committees I visited if I was able to. We had a little bit of a conversation about it. Council meetings, same thing. If your council had the bandwidth right now, I popped in just to say, hey, see what was going on, see if you guys had any thoughts, and see if I could offer any clarifications. And then, as you guys saw, the advanced copy was sent to you all in the team several days ago. In addition, I sent an email just making sure that everyone saw that it was sent out, just to make sure that there were any clarifications. So the proposal. Here are we're going to focus on the internal experience of senators, right? So really making sure that things are good for you so that you can be the best person you can be and how you're advocating on behalf of other students. So 5 main kind of things I tried to summarize, and I go a little bit more in depth, but increasing Senate bandwidth means increasing Senate size. Another thing that we heard time and time again was, why are we doing programming? So this actually splits the legislation from programming. It improves GBMs by creating a position for a parliamentarian and enabling flexible chairing. It allows exec and Senate to operate in parallel while also ensuring communication through what I think is the raddest name in existence of the President's Cabinet. And then there's also some positions for external resources to support senators. Exec changes. These are the 6 main ones. Home and undergraduate student body president instead of exec president, and they have a president's cabinet. CMC and PRDC are elevated to have appointed chairs on said president's cabinet. There is now a chair of programming who oversees the class councils. Class councils are what we are calling the programming side of things. You still have class representatives that sit on the legislature, but they are called class senators. People know class councils is a thing that's associated with programming, so we kept that language associated with programming. Like I said, class councils now are an elected chair, secretary, and treasurer, and the rest are appointed. So you're getting people who are applying to be interested in programming, and there's an application process to make sure that we are making sure that the best people for programming are the people putting on our programming. It removes the vice president's role in chairing Senate meetings, which I know Kobe was crushed by, and it creates an assistant secretary position to keep Elena's hands from falling off. In the Senate, there's no more programming responsibility, like I mentioned. Senate is now bigger. It consists of 40 members, including a presiding officer. Senate elections, because now things are not solely focused around programming, right? The legislature solely exists as a body for advocating on behalf of students and providing diverse perspectives. So we took a step back and we're like, okay, well, class-based perspectives are important, but there are other perspectives that are important that we bring to the table too. So the way the Senate is actually structured includes the class-based representation we're used to, but it also pulls in a couple other ways in which we want to make sure that we have perspectives represented on Senate. The presiding officer, so the person who is in the VP's role, is now chosen from amongst the Senate. So the Senate has kind of say over the culture that they want to establish in their GBMs. The president of the Senate sits on the president's cabinet and helps to encourage communication between exec and Senate. Like I said, we have an appointed parliamentarian, and caucuses are formally established in the Constitution, and there are mechanisms in there for ensuring activity. And then last few changes in the judiciary side of things, the CSE is now under judiciary, and we can encourage reconsideration of judiciary or CSE decisions by a 2/3 vote. Again, we don't want to have things that are too strong here. CSE should be operating independently of us, but I also heard one of the key things was people were really frustrated when we would get associated with the CSE doing things that we might not agree with or we think might not have been thought out fully. And this is a way for us to make a formal statement saying, hey, we don't agree with this, while also protecting their autonomy. And then judiciary is officially given a role in the Constitution, mediating disputes within SGA orgs, and the Constitution, slight change, it goes from 2/3 to a 3/4 vote to be amended by the Senate just to distinguish it from the bylaws. And I think that is it. Yes, again, thank you to Elena, Carolyn, who was hugely helpful in kind of really trying to make this into a formal proposal. And so with that, we're going to go to the actual amendments.
Yes.
So
You have about 5 more minutes.
5 more minutes? Dang, I used 5 minutes.
No, you can just as a general timeline.
Wait, I still have 5 more minutes?
Yeah, you don't have to use it though.
I
I gave you
still have 10.
15.
Lovely. Oh, thank you. Okay, that
Yeah.
makes more sense there. So yeah, I kind of gave the broad overview. I think we're gonna go through things more as we go amendment by amendment, so I'm not gonna like go through all the little semantic things here. A lot of them are dumb little things like this, like adding Zanville in front of Krieger to make our wording consistent. Little things that have to change just because another part of the Constitution changed and we need to make sure it's consistent. A lot of random things like that. What we tried to do is under each of the sections of the amendments that we're going to be talking about, there's a rationale that lists what we're changing, and then in addition, kind of what the rationale was for that change. The other thing I just want to make sure people note is that on a couple of them, and I'll highlight them when we get there, there is a line, and don't worry about it, Kobe, you'll have to scroll a while, that says effective on 2020 elections of the 2023-2024 administration. Some of these changes would not be coming into effect immediately because we need to make sure that we have a smooth transition period, right? So just know that some of these things are things that we're proposing. Let's just get started with them now. Other things are things where we need to make sure that we have a little bit of an on-ramp to make sure that things go smoothly. So just know that there's those two things, and pay attention. If you see that little effective on banner at the top, just make sure to pay attention to it. Otherwise, I think I will just yield my time, and Rihanna, we can do this however you think is best.
Great. Point of information, if it doesn't say effective on, does that mean it immediately starts? Okay.
That's our suggestion.
Great. So the way that this is going to work, because we love going through amendments, there is no such thing as a friendly amendment. All amendments will be voted on. The way we're doing this isn't by individual amendment. If you see, it's kind of broken up into chunks where it ends in rationale, like there are little boxes that end in rationale. We will be voting on those little boxes. So you would say, for example, I motion to amend Section 2 amendments from ad hoc and standing committees to standing and ad hoc committees, caucuses, and the amendments there. So that kind of thing. We'll go ahead and do that. Just make sure you say the language of the amendment that you're doing. So you're going to say the title. You're going to say like all amendments in Section 2, or you can say the language, right? That works, Carolyn. So you can say if there's multiple amendments here and you don't want to say the language, you could be like, I motion to amend all of the written amendments in the Section 2 amendment section. That was a lot of sections. But that is how that will work. Does anybody have any point of information to get into this?
Point of information.
Yes.
Is the real name of the Krieger School the
Yes.
Danville Krieger School?
Yeah. Do you have a point of information?
Point of information. So considering that we are technically still a representative body for double degree students, how is that being?
Do we want to move into a Q&A or a moderated caucus? Because I think we might have a couple of questions. I've seen a few hands. Instead of, because that wouldn't count as a point of information. That would be a question.
To a 3-minute Q&A.
No, we need more.
All right, can I get a second? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? All right, we're now in a 3-minute Q&A with 1 minute speaking time. Reed is the first speaker. raise your hand if you want to be added. I can add 3 speakers.
How exactly you're separating the like planning and like are they separate elected positions or do you
Planning for what in particular, sorry?
Do you know how you're separating the planning of events, what do you call it?
Yeah, programming.
Programming,
Yeah.
Like is that a separate elected position or
Yes,
do you,
so
like, join that?
yeah.
Section is
So
something I can scroll
can
into.
provide a little clarity on that. There are 8 elected positions amongst your class total. 3 of those are on the class councils, 5 of them are class representatives. Anyone who is a class representative has the option to sit on their class council as an ex officio member, but that is you opting into that process, right? Then, oh, lovely, it's begun. Trying to think what the other things. They're just led, so those 3 elected positions are the chair, secretary, and treasurer of the class council, and then you have the class president and your 4 other class senators.
Okay, great. That concludes that time. The next 2 speakers and the last 2 speakers on the speakers list is Pritika and Dalhart, and then we'll need an extension if anybody else would like to speak. Pritika, you have 1 minute. Go ahead.
My question is kind of on semantics. Is this going to be one overall election for both senators and class council positions, or is it going to be separate? I know you might.
We would try to combine as much as possible. So for instance, like your, so for the Senate and class council, yeah, just send out 1 class-wide application. Just make sure that it's distinct. These are your programming people. These are your legislative people.
Okay, and are you going to make sure that people actually vote with close that? Because you know, like, already we have such low voter turnout. How are you going to make sure that, like, as we're adding more positions, there's more?
I can also answer that.
No, that's sort of thing. So I think this is actually one of the reasons that we thought about not just, we wanted to expand SGA. That was one of the things that we heard pretty broadly. We didn't want to just do it from the class-based position because, again, that's just having kind of one avenue for people to funnel into SGA where they have this buy-in. Right now, there's ways for people to get involved with SGA through their organizations, through potentially particular identities that they hold, through the schools that they belong in. And so our hope is that it's going to engage more people because even if you're not particularly interested in freshman class issues, you're going to be interested in issues affecting performing arts groups, right? And so that's the thing that compels you to vote in your election. So we're hoping that this is actually going to increase turnout by and large.
Can you yield your time?
I'm going to yield to Brianna, yeah.
On top of that, voter turnout is an issue that I've been working with Newsletter and CSE on. We're talking about possibly having elections be in person and do like a Hopkins Votes, like incentivize. We'll give you a cookie if you vote, not in like any particular way, that kind of thing. So having in-person and online things and advertising it more. So I am working with the CSE to make the election cycle that happened never happen again. So that will hopefully help with the situation, along with the fact that a lot of these positions are appointed, right?
Yeah,
Some of them, a decent number of appointed, so people can apply, and that way people don't have to vote, and that way if we have low voter turnout, it doesn't really matter all that much because they're not the ones who are picking every single position. Next person on the speakers list is Dalhart.
I was just curious, it's kind of similar to what Reed was saying, but so there's 8 elected officials on each, like, in each class. But so the 3 programming people, do they have a vote in the Senate?
No.
Okay.
They are sitting on exec. Like technically they are something that's under exec. They're not in the president's cabinet, they're not at the exec meeting, but technically speaking, those 3 people are elected and their role is under the executive branch.
Point of information.
Yes.
Do you have a diagram or like a visualization of this? If
I
you
don't.
I was wondering if you wanted to draw it. No pressure, but
okay, so
we can lift up that if we need to a little bit. We're gonna let.
That's kind of my question-ish. But then also, I was just curious, like the specific roles within like the class council. Like, what was the rationale between having like I get everyone needs to like worry about certain things, but like, in like a programming board of 3 people, like is it really necessary to have like the designated secretary and not just be on like programming?
we're just following what the lead requirements are generally for a student organization. So actually, technically, it's normally a treasurer and a president. So we went with chair to not confuse the president language, and then treasurer, and then secretary, just because we thought that 3 was going to be better, because we want to make sure that there's increased opportunities for people to engage with SGA, not decrease. So this still creates 8 class positions.
And on top of that, talking with Elena, having a designated person who is in charge of like secretary means you have one person who is always responsible for the notes, and it's not like, oh shoot, who's going to do this? Somebody forgot. Same thing with treasurer. If something goes wrong with the money, you have somebody who is a point contact for that kind of thing.
And we're only defining those for the class councils.
Programming.
For programming, because then within like the other class councils, we're not going to define. Like I know like right now they're kind of like secretary and like communications per se. But like within the like senatorial side of the like the elected officials, are there going to be defined roles like you stated for the program?
Nathan, we don't have any room on this one.
Sorry.
Is this gonna also apply for the Senate, or is it just for
No,
the programming boards?
just programming.
Got you. Okay, the moderated caucus, or Q&A, the Q&A is about to expire. Can I get a motion to extend? I recognize you, because you had your hand up first. I saw his hand first. I apologize.
Motion to extend the Q&A for 15 minutes.
Can I get a second? Nobody wants to second that? Okay, all in favor? Let's try that again. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Nay.
Any abstentions?
Nay.
Who's abstaining? You are?
No, I said nay late.
He said nay.
Okay, we're gonna go ahead and do roll call.
Kaya, yay.
Dahlhart, yay.
Aye.
Aye. Dahlhart.
Jackson, aye.
Kobe, aye.
Harvey, aye.
Raj, aye.
Nikki, aye.
Jill, nay.
Nathan,
Oh, aye.
what's your name?
You said anything.
Reed, nay.
I see you. Okay. We've now added 15 minutes. Again, we can always end a Q&A early if necessary. We've added 15 minutes. Do you have a point of information?
Oh, no, not the end.
Oh, you can be added to the speakers list.
Point of order, I think if we just go over the 20, like whatever the page is by like all over the place, it's not gonna go anywhere. So I'm proposing that we go by amendment so that we can have moderate caucus on that and then move on, because we're just gonna go back and forth and we're gonna forget what we're talking about. So I'm proposing that we go, Nathan clearly had that sections, right? So we should go by section, talk about if there's anything you wanna ask for Q&A, moderate caucus, whatever. But we should not be going over from page 1 to page 26, back to 5, back to 3.
Point of information, I don't know if the conversation we're having right now is necessarily about the individual amendments or more of what this means as a whole, because I know a couple people had like larger questions that have been written
And
on
go
here.
over amendments.
I agree that we shouldn't just review all of the amendments of one giant moderated caucus, but I think this particular Q&A is just in general about the constitutional changes as a whole, how it affects things that aren't written in here, that kind of thing. If people have that type of questions, if they don't, totally feel free to motion to end, and then we can go ahead and move into the amendments and the discussion on the individual amendments. Does that sound okay? Yeah? Okay. Who wanted to be added to the speaker? Raj, go ahead.
Yeah, I just wanted to comment on since this is something that's like throughout a lot of the document, the expansion of how many positions they are. I just want to say that I do agree with that. I think that it's almost like a vicious cycle in that since people won't run, we would think to like on the surface we should cut positions, and then that increases the burden on fewer people, and then less people would run. I think to sort of break that cycle, we need like Nathan is saying, reduce the barrier of entry to becoming an SGA member, and it makes it much easier for a student to want to represent, themselves and their community if it's not as much of a burden and workload to do anymore. And yeah, so just overall, when we talk about the expansion of all these positions and how many new members there will be, I think that's overall a good idea, even despite like low voter turnout, which can be refined later. I also just want to say, I don't know how much work and effort it took for Elena to go through all of this, so that's
Point of order, this is a Q&A, so add a little question at the end.
Yeah.
Inflection.
Is this a Q&A?
Yeah.
It's a Q&A. He's adding a question onto the end of that. You're adding a question onto the end of that,
this
right?
is my answer, and my answer is thank you.
Okay, great.
Oh, no, I don't have it.
Next person on the speakers list is Jiwon.
Okay, so I do have a very similar concern about the staffing. So how are we gonna staff when we have no people running for SGA? Also, isn't PRGC like half of people quit, not showing up, right? How are we gonna hold them accountable? And also the assistant for secretary, it's a great idea, but who would do it? Not getting paid. So I'm like, this is a great idea if we can staff all of them, but I do not really see a way that we can staff this properly when we have problem filling the Senate pool and people dropping in the Senate. So
Respond to what Jiwon said.
Yeah, Nathan,
I'll yield to Talia, yeah.
Yeah, that was his
Go
reaction. And then Talia, if you want to yield to me after that, I also have a response.
Okay, I think no one wants to run for these positions because they're a ton of work. And if we have more people still have like
A life.
a life.
Continue. She is not.
I think it's gonna. No, I'm not I get
Okay, you're
the
next.
point, and I think at first it is gonna be hard to find people to staff them. but like I think like long run, this is gonna like help a lot because it's gonna be division of responsibilities.
Yeah.
So it's gonna be awesome.
Also, this isn't just like Nathan and Elena woke up and we're like, no, we're gonna expand the size of SGA. I've gone to the College Town Summit for the past 3 years. We have the smallest SGA ratio to our populace. You know, UMBC distributes over $1 million, and their SGA is more than 80 to 100 people, and that's like barely any programming people. That's mostly legislation and funding student organizations and that kind of stuff. So we're expanding it in order to be more in line with how all of the other colleges in Baltimore run, because we saw that that was a more effective way, as most people have separate programming and legislation. I remember when we had our presentation, I was with Sam, and we were like, yeah, we do programming and legislation and we do advocacy. Everyone was like, how do you do anything else? And we're like, we don't. That's the problem. So that's where this idea initially came from when Elena and I came, and then we looked at the Constitution, and then Nathan and Elena took it from there. And mad shout out to you guys for all of this work, because I know you put in an incredible amount of research into these numbers and all of that. They're not just like random numbers. They didn't wake up and decide, you know what, 3 is the number I feel like the programming boards should have. So I think it's really good, and I do think decreasing, like the main thing that discourages people from running for SGA is they think it's a whole lot of work for nothing. But if we make it a whole little bit of work, and you actually do something by distributing it evenly, then more people will want to run and be involved. People love programming. Have you seen how popular the hop is? Yeah. That kind of stuff. If SGA becomes more like 2 separate bodies like that, where people who like advocacy and legislation have a place to shine, and people who like programming, planning dances and giveaways have a place to shine, and then we work together to help the students as a whole, I really think that's the best way to do that. I also went over time by 5 seconds, so I'm gaveling myself. Bad me. The next person on the speakers list is Mehek, and then the person after that is Jackson, unless that's a point of information, in which case go ahead.
Point of information?
Yeah.
So we just have fall under right now?
Yeah, not us. Lead.
Oh.
Just hands. Beautiful. Mehek, you're next. You advise them.
You advise us too. How come we're not popular?
Mehek, go ahead.
Oh, okay. So, for the president's cabinet, so underneath the programming boards, like the class councils, are they just doing like the tradition events? Is that like what you were like kind of envisioning for them?
I mean, tradition events to start, right? But I mean, their charge is basically the charge that the institution gives class councils right now, which is provide programming for your class. My hope would be that if you, building community amongst your class. So my hope would be, you know, there's gonna be a transition period, focus on the tradition building events. But hopefully you get to a place where you are just creating community within your class regularly, because that is your job and that is the one thing you are made to focus on, right? And that can be really tiny events too. That can be little things like at the lab, or in the annex will be gone, thank God. But my point is just, traditions probably to start out. I think the hope is that it would allow us to do more class-specific programming too.
So would there be like this is a follow-up, would there be any programming?
Wait, Nathan, yield back.
I yield to Mehek.
Go ahead.
Okay. So would there be any programming done in like the like senatorial part? Like, you get what I mean? Like, would there be any class-specific programming that like if you ran for like, you know, like the position for the class council, would there be an opportunity for people to plan stuff if they choose to, in addition to their legislative other stuff?
That's the ex officio position?
Exactly. So you are automatically, if you are a class representative, you are automatically granted an ex officio position on your class council if you so choose. So you enter as a class representative, and you have the option at any point to be in these conversations, and you also have the option to remove yourself from these conversations when it gets to be too much, right? The responsibility of class programming is not yours.
So, could you yield back?
Oh, yield to Mehek.
So basically, if you ran for like the class council thing and the legislative thing, your only job is legislation.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
No.
Yes.
Okay. So when you have the class councils underneath programming, those are the 3 individuals from each.
Correct. So technically, this is kind of an abridged version. So you have the 3 people under each of those, and then under these are all the people that they appoint, and there's an appointment process that's outlined in the Constitution. So basically, you know, recognizing that you need more than 3 people to plan an event, we really said, okay, well, let's get this core team to be something that your class gets behind, and you know, you can have some kind of a campaign for programming if that's something people feel really passionate about. But then also, a lot of times with programming stuff, I think, you know, seniors can really attest to this, is just like, contact this person, email this person, do this and do that. And so the councils are empowered to fill their councils with the people who they think are gonna best enable them to do that.
Wait, so like the people, like the class themselves can appoint people outside of SGA to.
Correct.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
cool.
Those are the appointed positions we talked about earlier, where not everything is voted on. Dahlhart?
Yes.
I'm just curious, like the separation. So I get like there's the programming, then there's the senatorial.
Yes.
But I mean, we have a lot of things right now, such as like, I don't know, giving event reports about your like events and like GBMs and stuff like that. How would you like ensure that like, I know like their whole job is programming, but I feel like the separate programming people, like I feel like a lot of people on the senatorial side like won't want to join because like a lot of us like don't want to do the programming, but like we kind of have to. So how would you keep like the kind of checks of like event reports and making sure that like all this stuff is happening? Like,
Yeah, so that's why we established, sorry, go.
Like if they're not, like I know that you can say they can like take the ex officio position, but like they don't have to.
Yeah, so again, we're not putting the onus on the class representatives to keep those tabs on people. That's why we just put it under exact with this structure. So you have a chair of programming who is an elected position, and their responsibility is to check in with the class councils, and their responsibility is to try to see if there are ways for SGA to co-sponsor with other things. So that their role is kind of to just oversee student body-wide programming, and one of those things is class-specific programming. They're then talking to exec, right? So as these conversations are happening amongst the exec team, if we notice that, say, you know, there's not many sophomore events, that's something that can get conveyed down, right? And the same procedures we have for things like impeachment, for things like holding people accountable, all those things are still applying because all these people are still members of SGA.
Does that answer your question okay? Anybody else want to be added to the speakers list? Otherwise, you can motion to add and we can go to amendments. Kobe?
So does all of President's cabinet still attend Senate meetings?
So there's no requirement in the Constitution as it exists like before, and there is no, and we didn't change that. You are granted ex officio spots, so same as things are. I would say that the one of the goals is to be able to enable exec and Senate to work a little bit more in parallel and just make sure that there are places at which we're ensuring communication, but also allow kind of both groups to source. So I don't think it's going to be as critical moving forward that like exec attends meetings, but I think it's going to end up still happening.
Anybody else? Otherwise, we can motion to end and then we can get into the amendments.
Is there bylaw change coming that is?
Y'all have fun with that.
I mean, because technically, if we move that and then we have, like, I'm not sure if we do that and then have a bylaw change to meet that by like what? Like, so that's next.
So this doesn't come into effect even for like my presidential year
Yeah,
for the
right.
most part.
Well,
It's the
some
year
of them
after.
do, so
For the ones that will require significant changes don't come into effect because the people who ran for next year's election ran on the premise that SGA would be structured the way it is now. So like we wouldn't even be able to do it because we don't have any of these positions filled. So during our administration, we would come up with the bylaws to match this that would go into effect for the year of 23-24, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So those kind of changes would happen, and then when we rewrite our rules bill and bylaws, which we typically do near the beginning of every year, we just take another look. We always send in a new rules bill. We usually take another look at bylaws just in case situations has changed. We can amend anything as necessary there. Yield to Nathan.
The other thing I will say is just, you know, Elena's probably listening. And Elena, I don't mean to speak for you, but I'm going to speak for you. We're not attached to the effective by dates. I think those are really our recommendations. I think there are some that are absolutely crucial to not happen now, or, you know, in the imminent future. I think, you know, where we're really at is that, you know, we need to have a constitution established before we adjust our bylaws to match, right? Because otherwise we're writing for something that doesn't exist yet. But if people feel like we need to adjust the effective on date, I have absolutely no objections to that.
No, I was just wondering if there is a set that you've also written something like this bylaw.
No, this is enough.
Do you want to go for next year?
Reed, go ahead.
Yeah, so you kind of like answered my question. I guess I was just saying like these changes seem really great, so it'd be nice if we could like implement them for next year. So I guess like, could we not just like hold additional elections like really quick?
So I think that the thing I would say for there is we want to make sure this is a transition that goes smoothly and well, and this, we have over $250,000 we're accountable for, so we want to make sure that we're really making sure we're doing this stuff right. That being said, I want to remind everyone that like, once this constitution is amended, it's not like this conversation can never happen again for 7 more years, right? The last time the constitution was amended was 7 years ago. If there are things that you all decide are working really well, you want to move up, you want to push things back a little bit, this is your document to be flexible. It has pretty stringent criteria for amending it, as a constitution should, but also I do want to encourage you all to not feel like this is it, and then like move on. Like if you think that there's ways that this can better benefit you as you're going through the process next year, amend the thing.
Beautiful. Do we have people who would like to speak? Otherwise we can end. Juan?
Is there a possibility that some of the tuition can be paid, like assistant to Elena? Like,
Do you want to yield to me?
Yeah.
So currently some positions in SG are paid as part of a pilot program, but that's not like we can't be like, yes, we're paying ourselves. The lead office pays us. So that is
it was kind of directed to Carolyn.
that is I'm just informing you about the positions that are paid now. We're looking to expand them in the future. The whole goal was to always expand them. So once this comes into effect, it definitely can be expanded as long as per the lead office they agree. And Carolyn, if you would like to elaborate, I yield my time to you.
And if there's budget.
And if there is budget.
And if we have money.
Okay.
President Daniels, take a
Anybody else? No?
motion.
Suba?
Motion to end whatever section.
Q&A.
Great. Can I get a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? All right. Yes. You're just digging through my bag. The Q&A has now ended. Suba?
Motion to approve
Amend.
the table of contents.
I think
We
that's
do a lot.
semantics.
We have to do the table of contents.
No,
It would be motion to amend section 2 amendments table of contents.
I think table of contents is semantics.
I would say it's
Would you
So,
agree it's semantics?
First one is Bill
Okay.
of Rights that has
Point of information.
Yeah.
Are we still gonna go through amendment by amendment, or are they
Yeah,
gonna
we
take
have
it
to.
down and just like?
Yeah, we can still go through. If you want to have discussion on any amendment, feel free. We're just going to try to go in order. To clarify, we don't have to vote on every single amendment. If they are semantic, i.e. adding the word Zanville in front of Krieger, we don't have to motion for that. It's only things that cause, like actual structural
This is the first one.
differences between
Point of
SGA.
order.
Uh-huh.
It's a 2/3 vote to amend the constitution, correct?
Currently 2/3. After this will be 3/4.
Yes, we're amending the amendment. Great. Sorry, my laptop's almost dead. What is the first one so I can keep up?
Table of contents. No, not
yeah.
our Bill of Rights.
Bill of Rights? Okay. So the First Amendment starts on page 3. If I could get a motion to amend if anyone feels like it. Suba?
Motion to amend. What do I call this?
Section 2 Bill of Rights.
Section 2 Bill of Rights.
All right. Can I get a second?
Second.
All in favor? Let's try that again. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? All right. Abstain?
Yeah, I'm just not clear about, are we voting to approve the amendment, or like?
This amendment is occurring. So for
discuss the amendment?
no, she said I motion to amend, which means the amendment is occurring. She could say I motion for a moderated caucus on blank amendment, if we wanted to do that for a discussion. But she was the one who motioned, and she said amendment, so there is not a discussion on this particular amendment, but there can be for any other one. Does that clarify?
Yes.
Are you still abstaining?
Yes.
Okay, we're gonna go ahead and do roll call. Kaya. We have to do roll call if there's an abstention vote.
I.
Yeah, I promise. Kaya.
I.
Jackson, aye.
Kobe, aye.
Harvey, aye.
Raj, aye.
Thank you.
Shalom,
Nikki, aye. Suba, aye.
Peter, aye.
Nathan.
Nathan, aye.
I am abstaining because I did not.
You can't say anything else besides abstain. So Reed abstain.
Sophie, aye.
Beautiful. All right, that amendment passes. Moving on to the next actual amendment. Sorry, these are all semantic things. I'm scrolling.
Wait, scroll.
This one.
Page 7, page
Wait,
7.
scroll up.
So you should be at Article.
Okay, so you're on
More.
We're at Article 3, Executive Branch, correct? Okay.
Y'all need to vote on the name, authority, and membership.
Where is that?
It was right after the one you just voted on.
Do scrolling.
Go down.
Scrolling.
This one? Oh, this.
That's not semantic. There are undergrads in other places, so.
Oh.
Okay, so that starts on page 4, actually. It's Article 3, Name, Authority, and Membership, Section 1, Name. Agreed?
Motion to amend Article 3, Section 1.
Can I get a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Great. That section has been amended. We have to do it for this section as well.
Motion to amend Article 3, Section 1.
Can I get a second? Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions?
Point of order.
Yeah.
Could we get someone to just quickly say what the amendment is, like,
You.
that we're voting on?
It's right there. Section 3,
Although
Name,
also
Authority, and
the-
Membership, Section 1.
Like, not, just like say what it does.
The way that this typically, like, you can read and follow along when we're going through the sections. That's why we say the name of the section, because sometimes it's like paragraphs have changed.
There's a rationale section
Voting on this
under
one
the
and it
amendments.
does this.
That's,
There's a rationale section that's under all the amendments that have been listed. So
Yeah.
you can read that. This one's just standardizing the language apparently, but Carolyn says that it might be having a different effect.
we're standardizing language to the First Amendment that we made. The reason that we don't do that is because the official language for amendments, you're only supposed to be saying what is changing. You can't add anything superfluous to it. It's the same thing like when you're doing roll call, you can only say the 3 things just because that's how Parley Pro works. But if you have questions about what is changing, you can either read it there, read the rationale, or a point of information, or open a moderated caucus, or open a Q&A. Got it. Okay. So
We passed
did
this
we
one.
finish? Yeah. Okay, that passed. Beautiful.
I also just like point of order, just so everyone knows, like this is all like the amendments are consistently on the table, so you can motion for anything at any time. Just so.
I'd prefer if we went in order.
No, I'm saying like for moderated caucuses and stuff.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That's fine.
Like while we're in discussion of the bill, you can motion to moderate caucus like the next article.
This one is
whatever.
semantics.
Suba.
This one.
Two articles of name, authority, and membership, does that bill addition need to be voted on?
No.
No,
that's-
I'm pretty sure that's semantic.
This one.
Yes.
This
Yeah,
one.
Article 2, name, authority, membership, Section 4, membership does need to be voted on.
Motion.
Pritika.
Vote on Article 2, Section 4.
Motion to amend.
Motion to amend.
Great. Can I get a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Bang. Okay. Great. Done.
This is a big one. Be
Okay. Chunky boy time. All right. So this is the President's Cabinet Amendment. Could I get a motion? Suba?
Motion to approve Section 2, Article 3, Executive Branch, Section 1, Structure and Basic Responsibilities.
Wow, you got that down
Wow.
pat. All in favor?
Aye.
Let's try that again. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions?
Abstain. You said section 2 of article 3.
Section 2 is the general section we're in. The
So,
the
point
box
of
we're
order,
in.
Article 3, Section 1.
There's
Ar-
section numbers, like.
Yeah.
Article 3,
Yeah,
Section
it's
1.
Article 3, Article number 3, Executive Branch, Section 1, Structure and Basic Responsibilities. It's whatever is on the screen right now.
Oh, okay.
That's, yeah. So you can follow along on the screen or by what's said. Are you still abstaining? You can ask, instead of abstaining, you can say point of information if you need to ask a question.
Point of information.
Yes.
What exactly is this one?
Establishes, which one is this? Sorry, can you scroll? Oh.
We're still,
Point of information.
yeah, we
breaks.
can do point of information during voting. It's okay.
So this one establishes the president's cabinet. It gives them that title. So it just establishes the institution of the president's cabinet.
If you're wondering what this particular amendment is doing, you can scroll down to the rationale section and that outlines the changes.
Yeah. Aye.
Okay, great. So there's no abstention, therefore that amendment passes. Beautiful. Okay, we're now considering Article number 3, Executive Branch, Section number and Basic Responsibilities.
I'm just gonna
Suba, you are killing it today.
I'm gonna leave.
Go ahead.
Motion to amend Section 2, Article 3.
Take out the
Executive
Section
Branch,
2.
Section-
1, Structure and Basic Responsibilities. What is the difference in those two sections?
This is for secretary.
Point of information, Carolyn, go ahead.
Don't they have the same
Yeah,
purpose?
so y'all were.
I think this, just ignore these sections, because that's just like
On the left is
organization.
wrong.
It's just Article 3, Section 1, and then,
No, I'm saying this section has the
title is the previous section.
They read.
It says structure, they're both under structure and basic
Oh.
responsibilities.
Oh, this is just separating what it, oh,
Yeah.
okay, well, that's a little
It's
confusing.
just so the rationale.
I think one other point of order I'll just make just to make sure people are clear. Occasionally the numbers are not going to match up just because something earlier in the list was addended. So just know that we are matching up content, not numbers always. But you go by the number in the top portion.
The point of order here is your language if you are motioning. So y'all are amending your constitution right now, but you're not motioning to amend the language. Like, you're not motioning to make a language change based on what was presented. So I think specifying that you are motioning or moving to accept the amendments that are presented on the screen. Now, if you actually want to change the language, you need to move to amend the language and then have what you're changing and what you're changing it to.
Point of information, is motioning to accept an amendment a official motion that you can do in Robert's Rules? Because I don't think it is. And that's, we ran into this issue last time, I think. Did we not?
It seems like Robert's Rules is efficient. Like that would be.
Yeah, I know. This, I'm fine with doing it. I'm not going to object. Don't worry.
Because you as a senator are not
Amending.
Yeah, we're not actually making any of the changes. We're just accepting the changes that are made.
Right.
Agreed. If we want to ignore the
Motion to disbar
if we're okay with doing, like, Kellen, if you think it is, this is why we need a parliamentarian. Yeah. Pause really quick. We're doing a brief amount of research to see if we're using the correct language. So, just to briefly restate that, we should be saying we motion to accept the amendments currently on the screen, and then say the part like you've been doing, Suba. We're just making sure that's a legal motion you can make underneath Robert's Rules Parliamentary Procedure.
For like,
Yeah.
We've been accepting these changes to the
Yeah,
Constitution.
yeah, as they're written on the screen.
so for it'd be like motion to accept the amendment on Article 3, Section 1, Vice President.
Yeah, it would be exactly that.
So I don't, based on what I'm reading, there's not like
It doesn't say no?
acceptable, there's not necessarily like non-acceptable language. You're just your motion is what you're saying your motion is.
Okay.
So if you're motioning to accept what's on the screen or accepting the language that is proposed, that's the acceptance. But if you're moving to, what is it say?
Motion to amend?
If you're motioning to amend, that's you making an amendment to what's on the screen. That's not what
Okay.
we're actually doing.
All right, good clarification. So from now on, we say accept the amendments on the screen in this section. Suba.
Motion to accept the amendment on the screen, Article 3, Executive Branch Section, Structure and Basic Responsibilities under Vice President.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Heck yeah. Love this. We're 9 out of 36 pages in, guys.
That's better than I thought, actually.
All right.
How many?
9 out of 36. You should have read the amendment so you know how many pages there are. We're speedy. Okay. Suba.
Motion to accept the amendment on the screen under Article 3, Executive Branch, Section 1, Structure and Basic Responsibilities under Secretary.
Second it. Second. Somebody say second. All in favor? Any opposed? Any abstentions? That passes. Somebody else can talk beside Suba to give her a break if you'd like.
I think we should let Suba.
No, Suba's just going to power the entire Constitution. Okay, also make sure you're reading what we're changing. I know we agree with most of what's happening, but if you don't, it's okay to disagree. Like, you're not going to get in trouble if you make roll call happen or anything like that. Also, we're working on the eye clickers.
Also, you
That'll be
can
next.
also motion to talk about it if you want.
Yeah, if you want to have a discussion on any of these, if you have a question and want to do a really quick Q&A, that's totally fine. We're now on Article 3, Executive Branch underneath the Treasurer.
Oh, something.
Motion to accept the amended under Article 3, Executive Branch, Section 1, Structure and Basic Responsibilities.
Beautiful. Can I get a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Beautiful.
This
Another
is a
page
big
down.
one, so read it.
What is the change that's occurring?
All of it.
Oh, it's an addendum. Okay. So we're adding you guys can see in rationale.
What?
Huh? Could you scroll up a little bit, please? Up.
Up?
We're on page 11.
Is this taking effect immediately, or is it still taking after the election cycle next year?
Point of information. to
Okay.
Nathan. Go ahead.
So as it is written right now, this comes into effect immediately. So that would be a vacancy. It would follow the normal vacancy appointment process.
Is there a process for filling the vacancy?
Yes, that's outlined later in the document.
Yeah. Also, seeing that SGA is like done after this meeting, CMC wouldn't have to be filled because it would be next year.
That's
Like
the
this would be
goal.
next
Yeah.
year's problem. We wouldn't have to do it this year because we can't, because SGA doesn't exist after this for a week.
That's why we're making this meeting so long, to save it the
Yeah.
time.
Suba. Oh, never. Who?
you.
I recognize Suba first, but if Suba wants to withdraw her hand to let Juwan talk, you can. You don't have to. Okay. Juwan. On.
With how many seconds speaking time?
You just want to talk.
Yeah. 1 minute Q&A with 30 seconds
You can-
speaking times on the amendment on the screen. Could I get a second?
Seconded.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? All right, we're now in a 1 minute Q&A with 30 seconds speaking times. Juwan, go ahead.
Director of social affairs is basically CMC head.
Yes.
Yeah, it's the same. Like, we already have a CMC chair. It's just a different name for it. What? Yeah,
I'm
it's just a
making it more
different.
official.
So, to clarify, right now CMC is under the executive secretary. This now establishes a new role whose responsibility is overseeing the CMC.
To
So
clarify.
this is your point person for
Yeah.
marketing communication.
To clarify the clarification, within CMC, there is 6 to 7 positions. Usually, they're appointed like videographer, cinematographer, and then we have co-chair between the secretary and somebody who's on CMC. So this is just actually giving a name and an official position to the
Separate
to the unofficial position that we've been setting for people. It's just actually outlining the expectations.
Also just separate secretary and CMC.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Do you want to end your? You want to end it? End it.
Yeah.
Motion to end your Q&A.
Second.
I can't make a motion, guys.
Motion to end the Q&A.
Great. Somebody say second.
There's no way. It's all.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain? Q&A's ended. Suba.
Accept.
Accept, sorry. Motion to accept the amendment on the screen, Article 3, Executive Branch under Director of Social Affairs.
Can I get a second?
Second.
Aye. I mean, any ayes?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? All right. That passes. I'm sorry.
This next one is the same thing, but with
Same thing but for
PRDC.
PRDC.
Motion to accept the amendment of Article 3, Article 3, Executive Branch, Section 1, Structure of Basic Responsibilities, Director of Research.
Seconded.
Beautiful. All in favor? Any
Aye.
opposed? Any abstentions? Beautiful.
This
Next. I'm getting aggressive.
This is the class council programming one that
So
we
this
talked
one's
about
a big
earlier.
one. It takes effect with elections of 23 and 24, so this is not an immediate change. Suba.
Motion for a 3-minute Q&A with 30-second speaking times on the section of the screen.
Can I get a second? All in favor?
Aye.
Let's try it again. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? We're now in a 3-minute Q&A with 30-second speaking time. Suba is the first speaker. If anybody else would like to speak, please raise your hand.
So, chair of programming, is that an appointed, like,
No, that's an elected position.
that's an elected position?
The only
by
two,
what?
the only two student body. The only two positions on president's cabinet. Well, I guess 3 technically. So the only 2 positions that are like
Okay, so this is the
officially
president's
executive.
cabinet, not an exec.
President's cabinet is what we're basically calling executive.
Okay,
All this stuff
oh.
is under executive branch. So you have these 2 new positions. So you have director of research, director of or whatever I said, communications. Those are appointed. Everything else is an elected position. There might be things underneath you that you appoint, but the primary people we're talking about here and the things that we're really establishing in this document are going to be elected positions. So there's going to be a chair of programming that is elected just like your executive secretary is elected now.
Alright.
So this amendment just.
Would you like to be added to the speakers list?
Information.
We're in a Q&A.
So
You
you
can
can
just be added to the speakers list. Yes?
No, wait,
You have,
yeah,
if you
yeah.
have a question, ask it.
Alright, add me to speakers.
Okay, you're added.
No, go.
Go.
Oh, and I'm next?
Yeah.
Yes.
So this amendment doesn't create like the difference between programming and it just creates the chair programming position.
No, it is establishing the differentiation as well.
Oh.
So it is putting class councils is under here as well.
Okay, great. That's what I meant.
Veda.
Yeah, what time?
Juwan.
So let me just to clarify that I understand this correctly.
Yes.
I think first of all, I think there should be a diagram 100%. Definitely.
We'll make one for you.
Can't make one right now. Asked me 5 days ago. Could have definitely made one.
You gave me this 3 days ago.
But the focus groups have been happening for months.
Legislative people get elected by general student body, and we have the programming people, right? Program people elected as well?
Yes.
Yes.
Everybody,
by the student body.
the only people appointed.
The 3 people in the programming board are elected. The legislative people are elected. The people underneath the programming board are
Okay.
appointed.
Only these people are appointed. CMC director, PRDC director, and the class council.
Underneath the
Underneath. So everybody else is elected.
Again, the structure of a class council is basically 3 people in charge, chair, secretary, and treasurer, and then underneath them is, I don't remember how many people, there's a certain number of appointed people that will be doing programming stuff.
See,
So we
these
elect
3
the 3 main people.
So class council is the elected people who will do programming.
Yes.
Plus the appointed people.
Yeah, so class council constitutes the people who are in the programming board, which is the 3 chair, secretary, treasurer, and the people who are appointed underneath to do programming. Class council is the name for all of those people added together.
3 per classes, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Me too.
Yes.
And then that has a head, that's just the head of programming.
Yes. Yes. Beautiful. Shalala.
So class council does not include the legislative.
No, class council is the name for the programming body. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yes.
Class council is programming body. Class representatives are legislative representatives to the legislative body. That's the definition change thing. Shalala, you are still within your time. I yield to you.
Yeah, I was wondering if it would be possible that we appoint these for next year as well, because we will be doing more programming. Would that be too much?
The issue with appointing them for next year is we would have to entirely null and void the election that we just had. So anybody who would be elected to be for next year would be taken away, and then we would have to re-elect everyone, because we currently have an SGA in place for next year. So that's why it's taking another year to go into effect, is because we already, next week, basically,
Next week we get,
we have to do an
Yeah.
election. It would be virtually impossible.
Virtual.
I specified that. Jiwon?
So what's the name of the people again?
What?
So what's okay, class council.
I'm gonna write this bigger.
Class representative is legislation.
Yes, class representatives is legislation. Class council is programming. There's a
Which one is the elected people?
Everybody is elected except for the people in yellow, which is CMC director, PRDC director, and the appointed class council.
Is there a name for appointed class council?
Appointed class council.
Members of your class council.
So class representatives is for all of them? Everyone gets voted?
No. Class representatives is legislation.
Wait, so what is the name for everyone that is elected?
They're okay, so the class council is the umbrella for the 3 elected positions. Class council is programming. Class council is the umbrella for the 3 elected positions and all of the other appointed programming positions. Class representative means that you are legislative and you are the legislative representative for your class.
We'd be like SGA members as for the total.
Yeah, we would be, whatever.
Everyone.
If we didn't do any programming, we would all be legislative representatives.
Point of information, I think senators might be really helpful language here, right? So if you have class senators, you can think of them as being representatives of your class. You have people who are senators, they're class senators elected from your class that are sitting in the legislature. We're not even to the legislative branch section right now, right? So no one here can be a senator. Everyone here has to fulfill some kind of executive role. In this case, the people we are talking about are our executive people who are overseeing programming.
Yeah.
Here, sorry, I don't know. Just let's see.
Oh my gosh, inhaled chalk.
Love that for you. Who's next on speakers list?
Next on speakers list, Jiwon, your time has expired because it was 30 seconds. It's going to be Mahek and then back to Jiwon.
And then I know.
Yeah, Mahek, I didn't see your hand. Mahek, Jiwon, Kaya. Mahek.
Okay, so who is the class president? Is there
Class
a class
president is still a senator.
The class president is a senator, and
Correct.
they run on tickets with a class president.
Yes.
For the legislative branch.
Yes.
And that person is like
With
the
class
person
representatives.
who does the commencement thing.
Yep.
And does but the senior week people who plan all of that are the senior class council.
Yep.
You got it.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly. So we're keeping with the person who does legislation. That's where the president role still sits. And that's the person where if admin needed to reach out to ask about things about the class, the president is the person we want to be the go-to there. The person's also the person we want to be the person who's giving the speeches, all that stuff, if administration so asks. But we also have this way to make sure the councils are also led.
These people just throw parties.
Yes, this is our part. We colloquially, as we were drafting this, referred to it as the party planning committee.
Okay, Jiwon, and then Kaya, and then I saw somebody else raise their hand, Shalala. Jiwon, Kaya, Shalala, and then I think we're gonna be out of time.
I think we should, that appointed class council, that sounds like, appointed class council, can we just get a different name for that?
Yeah.
Should we open to that
Party
idea,
planning
like,
committee.
especially because class council, one's elected by general member and one's not elected by general member, I
Can-
feel like that's
Appointed
a
council
pretty important distinction.
Point of information, would you be willing to change it to like class planning council or something like that? Like have the word planning committee or something in it?
So, I mean, I will just, I'm totally open to name changes. The one thing I do want to say is, to us, we are very used to the class council language existing in GBMs. No one else is here during GBMs. To students who see us, when we are, love you all to death. You are not an overwhelming turnout. When people see us actually doing our roles, they are seeing us doing our programming roles. So our thinking was that it made sense to keep the class council name associated with the thing that students have associated with class councils, which is programming.
That makes sense. So point of information, you want to keep it class council because anytime people associate events in SGA, they associate it with class councils.
Yes, and it also enables a rebirth of SGA in that people have already their thoughts about class councils, and now maybe they can form entirely new thoughts about their class senators.
Oh, okay.
All the hate
We're
we're shifting
separating
into the program.
If my time is not running, I feel like class council it's just like doesn't sound, I don't know if because of audit, it's just what you just said, but it's not really representative of what the programming board does. Like, if you just listen to Joanne, hey, what do you think class council does? I don't think anyone's gonna say, oh, programming, I feel like it could be just more reflective of what we do. Cause like, class representative, if you just reuse the name senator for class council, it seems more, I'll go to legislative thing and then you do a class programming committee, class programming council. It just
I think he just wants
more
to name
straightforward.
So, can I answer that?
Yeah.
Okay.
You have like 10 seconds.
Totally respect that
Shouldn't
position.
Q&A.
The one thing I will say is we looked to peer institutions. The class council language is fairly standard for their programming bodies. So this brings us pretty much in line with a lot of the COVI institutions.
The people who plan things are typically called council. The people who vote on things are typically called senators or representatives, based on my last 2 college town meetings.
Also, I think it's just because we have done class council for a long time, we have that memory. Not all of us are going to be here by the time this goes into
That's
place,
very
so there will
valid.
be a new
Yeah.
culture starting to work.
Just that when we have people, just like half of Hopkins know what a class council is. It's just better to, when we're making such drastic changes, better to be more straightforward in languages.
I feel like this is also just semantics.
So, I would welcome if people want to do this is a great case where voting to amend is going to be really helpful, right? So if people want the amendment, I'm totally fine with people voting in favor of the amendment, right? But I think to get a pulse on kind of where things are, we're not doing friendly amendments right now, so we're like, it would literally just be vote and see what happens.
You would also need in the name that everyone agrees on to replace class council. We could come up with that now, or we could just stick with class council for the reasons that Nathan stated.
And you can also just amend this later.
Oh. Okay, can I get a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Wait. Point of order.
Yeah.
Your name when there's actors.
Yeah.
And like people on the.
Yeah. But you guys could just say nay, and then we would still be in Q&A. So, all in favor of ending the Q&A?
Aye.
Let's try that again. All in favor of ending the Q&A?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Nay.
Okay, any abstentions? We're gonna go ahead and do roll call. No, this was a much longer one. Oh, okay. The Q&A was not it was not the little 1-minute one. If we're gonna go ahead and do roll call, would you mind counting? Okay. Say your name and your vote.
Dahlgren, aye.
Jackson, aye.
Ryan, nay.
Kobe, nay.
Harvey, aye.
Ireland, nay.
Raj, nay.
Nathan.
Wait.
Nathan, put your vote. Suba.
It's your repeat Supa's vote.
I already
Sorry,
put your votes, yes.
Okay.
Okay, we're good now. And I just voted nay.
Okay. Pritika. Jiwon.
Jiwon.
Don't change your vote. Say whatever you say. You are not allowed to change your vote when we go into roll
I thought
call.
we're allowed to.
No, you're not.
Oh.
You're not supposed to. It's strongly discouraged. That's why we're switching to clickers. Talia.
So I heard nay.
Yes.
Hold up. Just hold on one second.
Aye.
G1 was a nay, and an aye. Okay.
Peter.
Sorry, wait, what was Talia?
Nay. Oh, aye. I'll say
Stop, what is
G-
Talia?
Aye.
Thank you.
G1 mansplain.
Not say your name and your vote.
I did.
Sophie.
Okay.
Sophie, what's your vote?
Oh,
Wow.
Okay. Peter. I guess it wouldn't. No, it would matter.
Okay, we can revote. It's fine.
Yeah.
We're gonna
Peter,
revote.
Point of order. Do you know if I put down your tally mark? Because I'm not sure if I did.
I'm
Yours
pretty.
was
I'm
aye,
pretty sure I
okay.
saw you put it.
yeah. I think no, I think you got everybody.
Oh my gosh! Wait.
You got everybody. You got them. I was watching.
I think president can vote to make or break it.
It's not a tie.
Technically, the ayes have it.
Make or break.
Guys, this Q&A was gonna expire in a minute, anyways. Like, it's okay.
That's motion for new Q&A.
Okay. So the Q&A has. Let you vote. No, it's not a tie. I can't let you vote.
Are
Also,
they-
I'm pretty sure the VP is the tiebreaker in the Senate. You're trying to steal my duties. Yeah. Okay. The Q&A has now been ended. The floor is open for other motions, such as a motion to accept. And Ryan had his hand up first. You guys gotta let me finish talking before you put your hands up. Such as a motion to accept an amendment, a motion to amend to change the language, a motion for another Q&A, etc. That sort of thing. Ryan, you had your hand up first.
I'd like to request for permission to briefly address the assembly.
What?
Is that?
You want to talk to us?
Yes, just for you.
that it?
I think that's something you can do in Robert's Rule. Did you look that up? Yeah, you've been. I've seen it. Okay. I read my Robert's Rules. I know that's a thing you can do. Yes, but if you're gonna come talk up front.
Do we have to vote?
Okay, just stand up.
I
I
give
have to
permission.
leave, unfortunately, but I wanted to take I wanted to take a moment to thank our seniors.
Oh.
Graduating or won't be
We should have done senior
joining us
center
next year.
Yeah.
Especially for us freshmen. It was really helpful to have this community. Because I know we've struggled a lot, but you've always been there for us.
Oh my god! Thank you. And you also have permission to leave because you asked to leave anyway. So feel free if you have to go. What? Go ahead.
Oh, I'd like to announce my departure from
I really like that you guys, like I remember earlier when I was like, I like that you're interested in Parley Pro, but I'm scared. This is what I was scared about. I don't know if Shalala or Jiwon had their hand up first. I'm gonna go ahead. Jiwon?
Motion to amend the amendment.
Okay, it would be, no.
Motion to amend the amendment named from class council to class programming committee.
How about class programming council?
No, we can't change it unless you want to withdraw your motion and then re-say it.
You want to say it?
Withdraw.
Okay, hold up. We recorded this. I withdraw.
Yes!
Motion to amend. I don't know the language, but like to class programming council.
So it would be motion to amend the proposed amendment from class councils to class programming councils.
Motion to amend the amendment from class council to class programming council.
Can we just put that up there to make sure we're?
Yeah.
That was also class programming council in part 1.
I'm just gonna.
And then down there.
Pause for a second while we edit. Please minimize size conversations.
That's all good. And then.
You could also just Control H and replace class
We did,
council.
we did.
Okay, great.
Yep, I'm just gonna copy and paste this.
Oh yeah, we have to. He wanted to see what it looks like, just to see if there was anything
They're
else.
as suggested.
It's suggesting these aren't actual changes. They haven't been accepted as edits. Alrighty. Can I get a second for Suba's amendment?
Second.
All in favor of this amendment?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Nay.
Any abstentions? Okay. Okay. Any abstentions? We're gonna go ahead and do roll call.
Kaya, aye.
Delvin, aye.
Iris, aye.
Jackson abstain.
Kobe, I.
Oh, come on, hold on.
You don't have to tally these. Elena's taking notes. It's only if we think it's going to be a contentious vote.
Harvey, aye.
Please do this quickly and speak loud. Nathan.
Nathan, aye.
Yeah. Suba, aye.
Probably abstain.
Nas.
Reed, nay.
Did you skip Peter?
Trey's aye.
No, Peter spoke.
Beta, aye.
Okay. Again, please don't try to change your vote if you didn't say abstain initially, but it's fine. It passed.
I can't.
Class council is now class programming council. And that is
so
what
you
that
just
is.
gotta go do it.
However,
Oh,
we still,
okay.
this amendment doesn't exist yet, so we have to amend that. Suba.
Motion to approve this amendment on the screen, Article 3, Executive Branch, under chair programming.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? All right, great. We're 14 pages in. We can do this faster.
Woo!
Okay. Suba.
Motion
You gotta raise your hand.
approve the amendment on this. Is that the right name?
Accept.
Oh crap.
What?
We gotta change it here too.
Why don't you Control H for the word class council?
Okay, let's just do this
Not
right
Control
now.
F, Control H
deal with
replaces
this
it.
after. Can we, point of order.
No,
Everything
Control
says
H replaces
control-
it.
Wait.
Control H is not
Yeah,
working.
Can I motion if
I don't think it's working.
Okay.
Yeah, you can. Yeah, you can.
Here, I
Okay,
can.
can I motion to every place in this document where it says class council change to class programming council?
That's what the earlier amendment did.
Okay, so that's the original thing, which means we don't have to worry about it anymore. We'll change it when we need to change it.
Yes, beautiful. So that's already happening. We're gonna go ahead.
So just point of order for everyone. As you see class council up here, it's just not been updated. It will be class programming council.
Please minimize side conversations. I really want to be done with this because we have another long thing right after this.
What do you mean, bro?
Senior send-off. Yeah, we still have that. I know you guys want to leave. That's why I want to get through this. Okay, can I get a motion? Dollhart.
Motion to accept amendment of Article 3, Executive Branch, Section 1, Structure and Basic Responsibilities for Student Body President.
Great. You don't have to say the whole thing. Can I get a second? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? And
Wait, aye.
any opposed? Any abstentions? That passes successfully. We're now on to Article 4, Legislative Branch, Section 1, Structure. This takes effect in 23-24.
Can I motion to accept all of the amendments?
No. Sorry.
I
like the energy.
Yeah, I love
Can we have
this.
amendment on the thing so we can actually like?
I'm trying to scroll. This is
We're
hard.
working on it.
Where are we?
Right here.
Right here.
Right here.
Okay, good.
You can also follow along on your computer.
I don't have time to
Get a charger. I thought that was an aggressive thing. Okay. We're just gonna not have any talking unless it's the words accept this amendment. Zuba,
Motion for a 2-minute Q&A with 30 seconds speaking time.
can I get a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Great. We're now on a 2-minute Q&A with 30 seconds speaking time. Suba is first on the Q&A list. Go.
I have no questions. I just thought y'all would, so.
Elon, go.
What's academic senator?
Whiting and Krieger. Representation. So that's why I said there's 4 different ways of representation. We have representation organizationally, identity-based, based on your school, and based on your class. So for instance, we make sure that there's engineers on Senate because we have years where there are none. And
Wait,
that's
so what you're saying is so when people run for a senator spot, right?
You're not running as part of the year anymore. You're running as part of the community.
Unless you do run as part of it.
Yeah.
There's 4 options for what to run as.
So if you're running in senator,
Yes.
senator pool, right? We have senators who's gonna now run as a junior, whiting.
You gotta
You
choose
run as
which
one
one.
of
You
them.
choose as one. So you can either run as a junior, or run as whiting, or run as.
Gay.
We have a whiting representative, and we're gonna have a class.
Yes.
Yeah, you can run as whatever you want. That
and
way we
a
get fair
cultural org
representation.
and student org representatives.
Yeah. Okay. Anybody else? Please stop side conversations. Anybody else?
So are we getting rid of academic affairs in this case?
So
No. Just because you're a representative from, like, I would be a representative from KSATS if I didn't want to run as a junior because I cared more about academic affairs stuff. I would just ask to be put on academic affairs. Like, it doesn't mean that the committees are gone. It just gives us a wider representation than just limiting it to the class years. It means that, for example, if there's, like, 50 juniors who want to be in SGA. They're not limited to just the junior spots. They can also run as a representative from a cultural org or somebody from KSAS or engineering. It balances. We're supposed to be representatives of the whole school and to make sure we have a balance of the representation in the whole school.
So why you can go first?
Shalala.
Oh, so is the like number for Krieger and Whiting representatives like
Population.
total, or is it per class?
It's not per class anymore. It's total.
The only thing that's per class is your class representatives.
Yeah, Reed.
So is the plan to like have the whole school participate in those elections?
Yeah.
Yes.
Except class councils, which will be your class.
Class programming councils.
And also the class senate
Okay.
councils.
They're not called class
Sorry,
senate.
my-
Class representatives. Okay, Kaya.
Wait, so is this,
Guys, please stop side conversations. Sorry, I feel like I'm being mean.
So is this even class representative if it's not class?
There's a certain number of spot. Yeah, go ahead, Nathan.
So just a point of information, there are class representatives that exist, right? So you have, how many is it? It's 5 total. 5 people who sit on the Senate to represent their class. The idea is that there are other ways in which we need to ensure that there's representation. For instance, if everyone who's elected by their class is a Krieger student, which has happened, we then have no engineering representation. So there are also distinct positions where you are representing the Krieger school or you are representing the Whiting school. That then also exists for your caucuses and for your organizations. The other thing this really helps with is, for instance, the concern is, okay, well, we have all these vacancies, how are we gonna fill them? We have elections always where people are not able to get in, right? Because it's solely based on class, and then there's other classes where we have all these vacancies, right? This allows us to spread things out more, where there are a lot of positions that every student is eligible for, or at least any student is in Krieger is eligible for, any student who's in Whiting is eligible for, stuff like that.
For example, sophomore elections had leftover people. Those leftover people would be able to run as, for example, a representative from a cultural org. That way we're not limited by just the 5 class representative spots.
So they don't have to be in the same class.
Mm-mm.
But it's the class, it's just the class.
Mhm. So there's 5 people from each year. There's a certain number from KSAS, a certain number from WSE, and a certain number from cultural orgs and other student orgs, cultural and student orgs. Okay, we have time for one more question. Jiwon.
Okay, so on the rationale, is the class council thing, it says to maintain symbolic class president for speeches, but you're not getting rid of the class president, right? There's separate class president elections going on.
Correct.
Okay, so what does it mean by maintaining?
It was just that one of the concerns that was brought up as we were talking about this was like, okay, well, you're having this chair of like a class council, how are things gonna get confused? And so we just made sure, originally in one of the earlier drafts, there was not, I think there's a remnant of, one of the earlier drafts, there was not a class president. That has been reintroduced, and so class presidents still exist, basically.
So 1 class president, 5 class senators, and
4 class senators.
4 class senators?
Mm-hmm. So 5 senators total, because the president is a senator, right? Okay. 4 of those are just senators. 1 of those has the additional responsibility of president.
Okay, president, and then we have the academic people.
Yeah.
That's
Correct.
5.
So it ends up being 40 total.
7 academic senators, 5 Whiting, 1 senator from each category student orgs.
So 7 per entire.
This is written in here if you want to look on the.
The total is 40.
That's per class or not?
No, 7 total from Krieger. So everybody in Krieger, there are 7 representatives.
So you have 5 for each year. You have 7 from Krieger. You have 5 from WSE. 1 senator from each category of the student organizations that we recognize. So like our student organizations, and that will total about 9 because we have 9 different categories. And then the last little part there. So that total there will add up to 40 representatives total, which should be a fair sampling of the student body that is not biased. They've done the math. I'm not double checking them.
The additional 4 is
5,
kind
5,
of
5, 5, 20.
Let me see. Because then it's the chairs of each SGA caucus. Hold on. So 20 plus, what's the next one? 12 plus 9 plus caucuses.
I can't hear you.
32. Oh, wait.
That's 40.
Thank you. It's 50.
Yeah.
Hold on, wait.
1 second.
What?
Hold up.
Are we missing someone?
Because my thing is like the chair of each SGA caucus should be elected from the student, like, and be in a senator.
Isn't it the SGA caucuses? The chairs of the SGA caucuses are senators.
But they're senators.
13.
was just Debbie saying.
Maybe it's 50.
I can't. We're really thriving at math today.
This is why we need more WSC representation.
Yeah, guys, I brought the question.
I think it's 50.
There's 20 plus
12.
5 plus 7 plus 4 caucuses, which is disability, black, caucus,
APITA, and Latinx, so
Latinx
technically
will
5.
happen. What about WGMC? Did we
WGMC.
is the leftovers WGMC, right?
Okay, it's 45. I can't do math earlier.
45. Where are the 9 coming from?
Unless I can.
Oh.
Does it say 40 anywhere? Did you see that?
So, okay, the one thing is that the caucuses might not have been counted originally because technically they need to be established. But
Okay, so the reason there's 5
40-ish.
extra things from the 40 is because we didn't originally count the caucuses. Thank you for whoever caught that. I don't remember who it was. It was a team effort unless G1. Supa said that too. So
just so you know, point of information, Elena was aggressively texting me this whole time. It's 45, it's 45. Thank you, Elena.
everyone say thank you, Elena.
Thank you,
Thank you, Elena. Okay.
What?
You have to ask for permission, and I'm not giving you permission because I want to get through
Bye.
this. Can we?
Wait, hold on. So you're telling me that you want to get through this, so you're gonna.
Oh my.
What I'm saying is I would like to get through the discussion we're currently
let him
having, and then I'll
talk.
let you talk. No, we have to. We're like discussing the numbers here, and that was preempting. Are we still in a moderated caucus?
Bro, we have 13 more pages. Come on.
Okay, so the moderated caucus has expired. We had a point of information about the numbers here. We are still in discussion about the article number 4, legislative branch. I would like to pass the amendment on this, and then I will let you speak if that works. Does that not work?
I just want to talk. I just want to say something and talk about this.
Okay.
Moderated caucus.
Yeah, then do a moderated caucus. When you're addressing the General Senate, it tends to be for something unrelated to the bill on the table.
Okay, moderate caucus, 1 minute, 1 meeting time.
Okay, can I get a second? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Go.
Not gonna lie, I feel like this is overcomplicating SJ by like a lot. I don't know, like that like 9 thing, like student
It's
board
just
leaders
numbers.
getting voted. Like I like the initiative. I think this is like potentially could be good, but in my head this is really complicated, and I feel like we're just going to be overstepping each other a lot. Cause like academic people, like even though we have here, you say we don't have fair representation of like Krieger and Whiting, but we kind of do here because when we just sample up, like, right?
But in the past, we haven't, to clarify. We've had 2 years where we've had no WSE students at all in SGA, to my knowledge. Entirely, not a single
Good
WSE
word.
student.
Years of our class council, we had no engineers ever, like, on it at all.
What?
Yeah, that's why we're doing this, so that situation never happens again. Though it might be a little bit more work, we are supposed to be fair student representatives, and so this is a way to make it fair.
Work, because everybody's.
And point of information too, the feasibility stuff we've worked through. So that was actually a conversation I had with Carolyn earlier this morning. These are like, this is established at other institutions. There are ways that we're making it so that it will be just, again, 2 election forms people get sent out. Those are the ones for their, actually there might be 3, because there might be ones for your school, there's ones for your class, there's one for your.
Members of the Senate.
Yes, 45.
And a later amendment says that they're all equivalent in like
Power.
power.
Yeah.
Which means you can join academic fairs.
Juwon is technically still in his moderated caucus. He has about 15 seconds left.
Just make a.
Just extend the moderated caucus.
Oh wait, how many have I left? Okay.
You,
0.
Jackson, you have 10
I was gonna say,
seconds.
I have friends at TCU and Creighton who have a very similar model. They actually have even more academic schools because Creighton has a nursing school. Creighton has quite a bit more than just 2. So I think that we honestly, this should be very feasible for what we have. This is kind of baby steps, honestly, compared to some other colleges.
Motion to extend moderate caucus by 2 minute meetings.
Can we more than that?
Withdraw
do
your
you-
motion.
withdraw-
Just
do you-
because the motion
do you
says
wanna
that
withdraw your-
doesn't actually,
I
agree
haven't
in
recognized
Robert's
it.
Motion.
I need to recognize it.
Point of order. Even if it hasn't been recognized, if people haven't started voting yet, the person that's like brought their motion can still
Withdraw.
change it.
Yes, correct. So they can still withdraw it, but I didn't even recognize
Not even withdraw, they
him
can
yet.
also change it.
Yes, correct.
Motion for a 10-minute moderate caucus with 1.5.
We can end early, just vote. Second.
That math doesn't work. The math doesn't work. Just do 1 minute speaking times. We can always end it early.
Okay, 1 minute, bro.
Okay, all in favor, can I get a second?
Second.
All in favor of a 10-minute moderated caucus with 1 minute speaking times, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? We're now in a 10-minute moderated caucus with 1-minute speaking times extended from the previous caucus. We're going to go ahead and start with Jackson.
G1. I would like to.
I'm sorry. We start with G1. I apologize. I said the wrong name. Okay, we start with Jackson.
I wasn't on the list.
You were talking, though. You're the last person who was talking. So, okay, Shalala.
So,
You next.
question, does the person that leads the caucus have to be separate from the other representatives currently, like, elected? Is that like a whole entire separate position?
You want to yield to me?
Yes.
Yeah, so one of the things we heard is that like a lot of people, you have your responsibilities and then you're also being asked to chair this caucus. So we're like, make that your responsibility, right? One of your primary responsibilities is
You
to
can
chair the
yield back.
caucus and you get representation because of that. Yield to
Can you
Shalala.
also co-chair, like, is it just like, you can't?
You could establish that in the bylaws for your particular caucus. That would be allowed.
Okay, next
Grace.
person is Mahek.
Why is it so specific? Like, why are there 5 academic centers from Whiting and
It's a proportion thing.
okay, so like, what is like the
There's
reason?
less wedding than
Yeah, Krieger's bigger.
No, but I'm just asking, like, in general, like, why 5 and why like?
I would
like,
have
other than
to,
the
oh,
proportion? Do you
just
get what I'm
because it
saying?
added up to not 40 as I thought, 45.
That's a nice
It was
number.
just,
They made it an even number for voting purposes and that kind of thing. It's easier to take majorities when you have. many
exactly, and
majorities.
it's odd. So
Yeah, if
we
it was like
have-
43, it would
Do you
have been
guys
annoying.
think that it might be like too many?
No, because
Like,
that
even
it's
if you-
basically the same thing as like class senators that don't get elected. In my opinion, I think it'll be fine.
Yeah.
I mean,
I got you. You're next. Okay, next on the speakers list is Grace.
Alright, I think there is merit to keeping this divided. So like one of the main problems is that you're fearful that there's not enough whiting students that you're going to be able to represent. I still think by having specific class representation of those 2 academic houses. Cool. Same thing. You have 2 elected positions on each of your class councils. One for whiting specifically, one for Krieger specifically. All the other ones can do any way that they want. The thing is, majority of the school is Krieger, so you're ultimately going to get more Krieger anyway. So that balance is already going to happen. What you're fearful of is that whiting students are going to do enough. And so I think there's also much merit to keeping it within class councils because academics change year after year. The things that apply to me do not apply to CE students that are young. A lot of these things change year after year, and ultimately what you graduate with is what you started out in like 2018. Whatever the requirements were then are pretty much the requirements I have to graduate with. And so that's why
She has to yield to you.
No, I'm saying you should be
Oh,
one of those.
alright.
keep it within the class council structure.
Okay, we're in a moderated caucus, so you don't have to ask a question. Great. You have 5 seconds. Would you like to yield your time? Great. Next person on the list is Raj.
Yeah,
I meant to the next person. I should have clarified. My bad.
I think
Do you want to be on this?
Grace said it pretty well. I think that you'll see that distribution anyway. And I think since this is our first time doing something, it's like we said earlier, if it's not working out, we can always amend it, like what we're doing now, and we can just adjust and adapt instead of trying to like preemptively like anticipate the ratio. And I also just had a question on the rationale for having 1 senator from each category of student organizations. I think it'd be better if we had a fewer number of people. It's like what we were going back on earlier with like expanding student orgs to represent like organizations and instead of like people in SGA taking a greater role as opposed to like just bringing in just orgs themselves. I feel like that might complicate things, but yeah, other than that, I do.
I just have a point of information.
Go for it. You're Nathan. I yield to you.
Okay. So when it says like somebody from DSOL, whatever, like instead of being a representative for my year, I could be a representative for like the arts and visual performance section of SGA. So it's not necessarily that I'm doing it as a student leader. I could be someone who's interested in legislation, but didn't want to run on a class council thing. I wanted to run because I care about my type of organization type thing. So it doesn't have to be like, oh, they're a student org leader first and an SGA person after. It's anybody from one of the student orgs in any of those categories. And seeing as we get student orgs mad at us a lot, if they're already in the discussion, they can't be like, oh, well, you didn't tell us. Sorry, you already had a man here. That's not our fault. So like that thing.
Also the later
Yield.
paragraph that everybody on who is a senator can do whatever they want and are on the same voting
Yeah.
level.
Next person on the speakers list it's Jackson, Nathan, Jiwan, Kaya.
Yeah, So one of the questions I have with this, and maybe we haven't gotten to the election part yet, so I'm not exactly sure how it's gonna work. But one of the questions I had is like, for example, I'm someone who has a disability, and I'm also someone who's pretty vocal within the Whiting School. Within Whiting School of Engineering. And I also feel like I have a lot of connections to class of 2025. That makes it difficult for me to kind of like separate all of those different interests. And like, what am I, like, for example, like what if if it's really competitive for one of those, but it's not for another?
Then run for the other one. That way you make sure you get in and you can work on whatever.
But then it becomes a game of calculus where it's like I don't really want to run for this thing that I'm most passionate about because I think I'm less likely to get in. And I think that it's a complication that arises of this system that I'm wondering how we would
Point of information. Just because you run as a representative from KSS doesn't mean you're limited to doing KSS things. You can still do disability things or year things or anything.
People are going to see you as a representative for K. Like at the end of the day, what you were elected for and who you were elected to represent is K. Like for example, what if someone changed their major after getting elected as?
That's a good question. That's a good question. I didn't think about that.
But we should outline it.
What if you change your major after you get elected first or something?
Also, please do not be talking inside conversations when we're in a moderated caucus. Thank you.
Which I would say is a serious consideration. Yeah. The thing is right now, like I'm a Whiting major, but the thing is I declared a chem major last semester. And honestly, I might drop WC at some point. So like the thing is don't major in people. But the thing is like, I would say that it's a consideration because people might have a lot of different things on their plate and this model does make it harder because I think that JHU compared to other schools tends to have a lot more of like complete shuffling of majors because people will go from very different things to I have friends that have changed like schools that have changed like stuff.
You have like 10 seconds. Or
Okay.
Nathan, either
Let's
one.
go to
Oh, thank you for bringing that up. That that's why it goes to the Senate, right? I think that's a point that neither Elena nor I considered, and it's something we should implement. I mean, I think it's something. I mean, I would argue just because this meeting's going long, that you all should do as a constitutional amendment, like in a couple of weeks, just to clarify that. If if we want to work through that now, that is the Senate's prerogative.
Also on the point of like running against competitive, that's like a part of elections. We can't change that. You could say the same thing about like running for senator versus president.
You will be, yeah.
Can we not amend this right now and just like do the rest of it?
We could technically skip this. We also could amend this right now, seeing as it doesn't take into effect for another year. And during the next year's whatever, we'll have more time to change it, like during the next year's Senate, aka next week or the week after, we could go ahead and do another constitutional amendment to fix this. If we don't establish this, then a bunch of the other things that rely on it also won't get established. So it's going to mess up the election procedures and everything else later on. No, you can't table from year to year.
Point of information.
You can table. So if you table this, what happens?
You can't table this. This is our last meeting, so you can't table until another meeting because it doesn't exist.
We need to have someone else has to present this.
Yeah.
It wouldn't like.
In the next class.
It would be a new thing, like a whole new thing if you tabled it.
Yeah,
If you
like.
table this, you table all of the amendments, correct?
Correct.
You can table them.
Individual, not in a situation like this when it's.
Also, these things can be amended in the future.
Yeah, I'm saying this isn't like permanent.
But then it's gone from this session of that.
Yeah, it's a little bit difficult because it's the last GBM. Normally we could amend this and talk about it and figure out ways to do it. I personally.
It's technically a caucus veto.
1 second. Guys, can we please stop side conversations? Guys, can we please stop side conversations? We're trying to figure out what we're doing here. I think it would be best if we pass these and then the next session, aka next week or the week after, can go ahead and amend these small things like the numbers, if we want to remove the numbers entirely. That way we can get through the next 15 pages. Because if we table this or don't do this, then that is going to affect the rest of the 15 pages and it will ultimately take significantly longer, in my opinion. I also trust Nathan and Elena that they worked really hard on this and thought about the best. And there are some small issues that we can always amend to work out, i.e. what happens if you change major. So that is my opinion on this. I forgot what we were in. Can somebody clarify? We're still in a moderated caucus. Okay, so I will add you on to the speakers list.
No, I'm point of information.
A point of information, go ahead.
How much longer in the moderated caucus?
I have one more person after the person that's last, so Kaya, I believe.
Yield my time.
Okay, great. You're not next though. So, sorry. It is Nathan and then Jiwon and
Yeah.
then we're done.
So first off, I'm gonna apologize because I think that my thing with the numbers here just confused things. I think this is a great example of how like you start a little thing off wrong and it can just kind of devolve. Going through kind of what the thoughts are here, totally get everyone's positions here. I think where this came from was kind of twofold. It's first, this is what most peer schools do. You do not elect solely based on your class. That's like not a thing. A couple Kofi schools, but really you're elected to distinct positions. And what that does is that gives you a little bit more of an onus. You're not elected to work on Krieger things, you're elected to represent Krieger students in conversations. So for instance, when finances had things about particular performing arts requests, the performing arts representative is a really great person to look to for that, to help us to better understand their particular request for a performing arts item for their student work. What was the other thing I was gonna say? I think that's basically it. I guess it's just, then the other thing is, we're not doing programming, so we need to make sure we're representing class-based interests, but there's a lot of things that are also important in the student experience. And so this is a way of recognizing that, like, okay, we need to recognize classes, but we can also recognize these other forms of diversity on our campus. And yeah, I can
You have like 20 seconds left.
Okay, yield to Brianna.
As we move away from class-based programming, I think we should also move away from class-based representation, because classes will have representation in programming and they still will have representation. And again, committees are still a thing that exists, so everyone will still be able to work on their interests. I think we should pass this and then make an amendment to figure out the issue that Jackson brought up about changing majors and the issue with numbers and that kind of thing. The next person on the speakers list, because my time just expired, is John, and then Kaya, and then Jackson, and then we're done.
Okay, so
I'm gonna be strict with times.
it's good to have that representation, but I do agree with
But what do you want to do?
Grace about the point she mentioned about the academics. And also, I have an interesting take on the student orgs. I feel like there's a better way of the student org leaders to communicate with the SGA.
It's not necessarily leaders, I want to clarify. It's just a representative from that department.
Okay, representative is
Yeah.
and I feel like that could be done just like as SAC or some form that you can work with the like CSO. Like we're still gonna have a CSO, so I feel like it would be like right that in my head it just that makes more sense because I feel like the representation that we're gonna get in this like in the student org is already pretty diverse in SGA because like also you talk about like extreme situation when we don't have no whiting, no case S, but like at the same time, that can happen in anywhere. So
You have 5 seconds if you yield to Nick to respond, because I think he had no.
I mean, I
Okay. I don't know what you want to do about it now. Who is next? Kaya.
I thought you said it was just Nathan and then G1.
Because Kaya yielded her time and then she went like this, which makes she didn't yield her time, which means we still have the time. Even if Kaya yields her time, we still have that 2-minute slot, and I said one person after her. So it's Kaya and Jackson.
And then they can yield to theirs
So
if they want.
I'm just clarifying, like if Carter, for example, he's the current chair of the
They were talking about
Disabilities
like
Caucus,
how
so he couldn't
you
do,
don't
like, a
need
class
to have
representation
representatives in this
It has to
function.
be somebody else.
Correct. But he would still hold a position in SGA.
And then just a point of information I'll add on. Having organizational representation also helps to make sure that the elections that we present to students represent the work that we actually do, right? We're so focused on organizations, and yet there isn't anything about organizations that comes to how we approach SGA when we come time to campaign or elect, right?
But you could still be in the caucus and stuff.
Yeah, for sure. Next person is Jackson, and then we are done with this moderated caucus.
So one of the questions that I kind of had, just basically based on timelines, is that if we're doing, because we're not doing elections by classes anymore, right?
We will do elections.
There are.
But for most of the roles.
What do you mean most? There are
There's
all
class
of these
council
elections are
and
happening
class
simultaneously.
representatives.
Like this is one election.
Yeah.
Yes.
So
What
I'm
is the
saying-
question?
So what I'm saying is like, I think that there might be a disparity in terms of like how freshmen are, or first years are on like SGA. Because if they have to wait all the way until like spring before they can basically be on the majority of roles that aren't within their class.
I don't. Why would you have to wait till spring? Point of information?
Because SGA elections are during spring.
Not freshmen. Freshman elections are in fall.
Yeah, but freshman elections are going to be just for their.
For
spots in
8
the
people
class.
though.
Yeah.
Which brings
So
me
that's
to like
a,
7.
like
But what I'm saying is that as it currently stands, they're still gonna have no representation in terms of these other things until, all the way until spring at the earliest.
That because they're representing their classes,
Their
and
class-
those people are
yeah.
representing their groups, and
But
that doesn't mean that
means
you
they
can't
won't
work.
have any representation on the things
No,
that are
freshman
represented.
year will still have representation in freshman year. If you're saying
But what I'm saying
freshmen,
is
if
that-
you're saying freshmen won't be able to be in positions such as like a student orgs liaison or something like that, just because a freshman isn't in that position doesn't mean that there isn't representation of that thing. Year doesn't matter in anything else. Year only matters in the year elections. So we will still have equivalent representation of every single year within SGA. Does that clarify?
Well, but it's still naturally, because this is gonna be dominated by sophomores, juniors, and seniors.
You could say the same
Sophomores,
thing.
Juniors and seniors will have already been on campus and understand the issues that are prevalent to their community. If you're a freshman coming on campus, what do you know about the disability culture from the 1 week you've been here?
Also, the same goes for like.
But
students.
my complaints, that would be when it comes to like, especially for like caucuses and stuff, where people are representing their identity, I do think people can have.
Yes, but there'll be an upperclassman who is representing that.
And
I would
just
just
because
like
you are a
to-
freshman, you can
yeah.
also work on
Yeah.
like caucus related things.
Yeah, you can. I just want to say the SGA isn't here to represent equally every single class. It's to represent like all of the populace and all of the interests of the populace. And seeing as freshmen are likely not going to be as involved in student orgs and the student orgs things we work on, it's okay if we don't have freshman student orgs representatives. We still will have freshmen. It's not like we're negating them at all. There's still equal class representation. It's not like there's going to be 2 freshmen and then like 10 of every other year for the class section of the representation. Student orgs, if there is a freshman, for example, who like gets super involved in student orgs and then there's a vacancy in the student orgs position, it can be filled by that freshman. So it's not like we're banning them or anything.
Also, in our current the way we're doing it, committee chairs, we're doing that like 2 weeks from now.
So no freshmen
So
can be
no
committee
freshman
chairs.
can be committee chairs. That's
It's
already
just you're
something.
limited because you're coming into Hopkins and you just don't have the experience yet. It's similar to how for many other organizations you can't be on exec board unless you have a year of experience. So like it's kind of that kind of
Committee
thing.
chairs make sense, but what I'm saying is like for like representing a school and whatnot, my
What?
friends that are at these other schools, TCU specifically, I know of someone that is on like a representative board for their school, which is arts and sciences. That election for them happens in the fall semester, not the spring semester.
Wait, can I have a question?
Yeah, like even if you're elected in the freshman class thing, you can still go to academic affairs. You're right. I was going to say that. We are way over time. We had a point of information to clarify
Motion to
that just
suspend.
devolved. Apologies. Time has expired. Moderated caucus has expired.
Motion to
Everything has expired. I've slept 3 hours in the past 48 hours. I want to go home and go to bed.
Suspend Robert's rules.
Okay. Can I get a motion from Raj?
Yeah, I motion to approve the amendment on Article number 4, Section 1, concerning the composition of legislative branch.
Great. Can I get a
Second.
second? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Yes. Any abstentions? Oh my God.
I need to sleep by now.
The
Got
rest
it.
are easier.
Oh, great.
So much easier.
Suba.
Motion to
Motion to accept.
accept Article 4 legislative branch structure.
Second.
Second.
All in
Point
favor?
of information, parliamentarian.
What?
It's about the parliamentarian.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Yay. Next. Suba.
Motion to approve, is that the right word, accept? Motion to accept Article 4, Section 2, presiding officer.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any
This is-
abstentions?
President and Vice President of the Senate.
Pay attention.
So that was a fast
Again, everyone was supposed to have been reading this. This you guys have had like a long time to look at this. This shouldn't be your first time looking at it.
I read it, I just don't know where we are.
We look at the screen.
It's everything
I've been
is right
scrolling.
there.
asking me what we were on.
So wait, we just voted for.
Yep, it's approved.
this. So
We're
that's
now
fine.
on Article 4, Legislative Branch, Section number 2, Basic Responsibilities. Each senator shall have equal authority is the first change. Suba.
Motion to accept the amendment on the screen, Article 4 legislative branch structure.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Wow.
Legislative branch attendance.
I think I noticed a grammatical mistake.
That's okay. You can suggest it and we'll edit it. If it's a semantic issue, we don't have to vote on it. Suba.
Motion to approve Article 4, Section 3 attendance.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Again, if you want to talk about it, raise your hand so I see it before Suba's hand, please.
Suba, give them like a 3-second grace
No,
period.
I like this. No grace periods. You just got to be faster than Suba. Suba. Yeah, Suba, you're good.
Motion to approve the amendment on the screen Article 4 Legislative Branch Section 5 for the rules.
We have something.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any
Fun fact,
abstentions?
this is where it says what edition of Robert's Rules of Order we use. That's
Mm.
new. Anyway.
Wait, which edition is
The
Latest.
latest edition. It just
Sorry,
officially
don't mean
states
to
it.
Okay, keep going.
Okay. All right. We are now on Article 5, Judicial Branch, Section 1, Structure, starting with and their internal
Add
disputes.
it adds CSE to judicial and more judicial stuff.
Suba.
Motion to accept the amendment on the screen Article 5 Judicial Branch Section 1.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Shout out to Newsletter for being here for this long. Yeah, Newsletter. All right. Article 5, Judicial Branch, Section 2, Basic Responsibilities. 3, 2, Suba.
Motion to approve.
Accept.
It doesn't matter, right?
Judicial Branch Section 2 Basic Responsibilities.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Continue. Suba.
Motion to accept the amendment on the screen Article 5 Judicial Branch Section 3 Judicial Branch decisions.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Wow, we're doing so good, guys. Guys, we're more than we're like 3/4 of the way done. Pausing. If anybody would like to vote on anything. No.
Closed session and
Suba.
President of the Senate.
Motion to accept the amendment on the screen Article 6 Ad hoc Standing Committee Section 1 Standing Committee.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions?
Gets rid of
I'm gonna
all
slow
of
down
CSE.
for just a second.
This CSE is moved to judiciary. That's
Yeah,
what this is.
I'm going to slow down for a section to clarify what's happening here. The reason why this is removed is because we just moved it to judiciary, therefore it's no longer in our constitution. Yeah, that was established earlier. Like that, you're elected as president or vice president of the Senate.
This takes effect immediately, this is not.
Hi, that's me then. Vice president is the president of the Senate. They preside over the Senate.
Is that in the Constitution?
Yes.
Okay.
That's why I sit here and yell at you guys all
I'll
day.
make a.
Okay.
Thank you. I love flowcharts. This will be great.
Motion
Okay.
to accept
Has-
Article 7.
Wait, I just want to clarify. Is everybody caught up? Is anybody lost or confused? No? Okay. Go ahead. Go.
Motion to accept Article number 7, elections, removing CSE.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions?
This one's
Great.
a bit of a big one, so read through it while we scroll
We're
slowly.
going to pause. I'm going to let everybody take a
This
look
is
at
just,
this.
actually it's not, moving caucuses to us.
That's in existence already. So just point of information for everyone, most of this language currently exists in our bylaws, it's just moved into the Constitution.
Can
We're
we
just
amend
shifting
this to be
its position.
smaller?
Suba.
I think 50.
Wait, 50?
50 is the standard right
It
now.
should just mean people that would like to be represented, not necessarily.
Yeah, it's not people who want to be on it. It's people who want
And
who
if
really
you
care.
don't really need to.
You can also send out an
Put
online
people
form.
that want to be on it. That would be awesome. Just
Yeah.
unlikely.
Okay, Suba, I recognize your motion.
Motion to accept the amendment on the screen Article number 7 caucuses.
Great. Can I get a second? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Oh my gosh, guys, we're 28 out of 36.
This removes referendas and
Suba,
Motion to accept the amendment on the screen Article 8 referenda.
second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions?
this is recalls are now CSEs and not vice president to avoid
God.
cheating,
Oh.
etc.
Anybody want a motion? Dollheart.
Motion to accept the amendment of Article 9 removal from vacancies.
Yes.
Woo,
Second.
speedrun.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Good. I like this speed.
Do you want me to do like
This is semantics.
auctioneer style all of them?
I mean, that's what I was doing earlier.
This is
Dollheart.
semantics too.
Motion to
Wait,
accept
no.
Article 9 removal procedures and
No, you need
vacancies
to
No,
do,
it's-
you need to do the
Did
one above.
we skip one?
This
No,
Yeah,
we
you
just
do-
did that.
Not that one, you need to do number 3. You need
This
to do
one?
this. Wait.
We just did
This one.
recall. We just did that.
We just did
Yeah.
the president's
Oh my
second.
God.
No,
Pay attention.
no.
We
No,
just
we
did
did not do that
recall.
one.
No.
We didn't change.
We just voted on Article 9, removal procedures and vacancies, section
yes.
number 1, recall.
Yeah.
So the
We're
one
on
after
section
that-
3.
Okay, okay.
You need a laydown.
Resignation.
Yeah.
Wait for you a sec.
Motion to accept Article 9 removal procedures and section 3 removal.
All in
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay.
This is making sure no more cheating also for impeachments.
Suba.
Motion to accept the amendment on the historical nomination to the vacancy section for.
Second!
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions?
This is vacancies.
Okay.
Read through it. We're gonna give it a couple seconds.
Take a second to read.
So I think point of information, there's nothing fundamentally that really changes about this. I mean, there might be, I think there's something where class senators can run for class president, there's a class president vacancy. It really is just, the language needed to be rewritten to encompass some of the changes above. So the spirit of it all is the same, it's just, things are like slightly different.
Second point of information, this is super similar to what Juvenile and I did with bylaws when we were outlining more of the vacancy things. They match up, so it'll be fine. Kaya?
Motion to accept the amendment of Article number 9, removal procedures and vacancies, section 5 to 6, senatorial.
Second. All in favor? Any opposed? Any abstentions? Next.
This one's a big one. Read through.
This is executive branch succession. So like if I died. Oh my God. I am so tired. I'm so sorry. That was more morbid than I meant. Dullheart.
Motion to accept the amendment of Article 9, removal procedures and vacancies.
Second!
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions?
Vacant. Okay.
Oh my God, guys, we're so close. We're like last 2 or 3 pages. Dullheart.
Motion to accept the amendment of Article 9, removal procedures and vacancies.
Can I get a second? All in favor? Any opposed? Any abstentions? Dullheart.
Wait. Let me read.
Yep.
This is
constitutional amendments.
All in favor? Any opposed? Any abstentions? Oh my God. Okay.
Now it's time to move to the next item.
Okay. Next order of business. This is a surprise, guys. I did not put this on the agenda. We're posing.
Be real.
Toby, you want to be in this?
I'm okay.
Yeah.
Whoa.
It's 9:40.
No, guys, I'm 4 hours late.
You're not real. You're fake.
No, it happens on both sides.
Oh no, we need to do that again.
Senior send-off
3, 2,
resolution.
Okay, so senior send-off resolution. Basically, I kept this as a surprise because I didn't want anyone to see it because I wrote really nice things about the seniors and I didn't want it to be spoiled. So that's why it wasn't on the agenda. I just linked it in the totally wrong spots, but we're not going to talk about that. You guys did not see that happen. Right click, link, here. Okay, so you guys can click on it and look at it now. So this is a bill. We need to pass this. Please remove side conversations because I put effort into this. I'm presenting it. I'm going to read the whole thing because also Elena helps me. Shout out to Elena because I was really tired and yeah. Okay, so this is sponsored by all non-graduating students, which is everyone here. I put you all on as sponsors because I'm assuming you like them. And if you don't, I'm sorry. Don't say anything now. That would be embarrassing. This is an internal resolution that pertains to the Student Government Association rather than to the university at large. The Student Government Association members that are graduating this year are Senior Class President Nathan Mudrick, Senior Class Senator Angela, Senior Class Senator Grace, Nikki, Pritika, Suba, Veda, and then Obi as a junior, and then Executive President Mahek Ali. So we went through.
I got you. Just keep on going.
We went through the work logs and everything. Would you mind taking a seat, please?
I'm saying aye, so I can leave.
You can't. Okay. Did you ask for permission to leave before 10?
Can I leave, please?
Can you wait until?
I was signed into like minutes ago.
Okay.
Everybody say bye, G1.
Everyone say bye, G1.
Bye, G1.
Okay. So we went through the work logs, legislation, committee records, and everything we could find for all of the seniors, which means I went back to like the 2018 archives and I was like scrolling through there. Yeah, there's some weird stuff.
Sorry, if I could just point of information, SGA meetings used to be like minimum 3 hours. Like just saying this is.
We've made it a lot shorter, by the way.
This is so much shorter.
Freshman year, it was always 3 hours long. So, yeah, we were from 7 to 10. So, whereas Senior Class President Nathan Mudrick is a 4-year SGA veteran, over his long service to SGA, he has championed a number of initiatives such as the Woodrow Wilson renaming, the Q2 report seminars, COVID-19 student life committees, diversity and inclusion training for faculty, and created massive internal SGA reform, such as amending the Constitution. I didn't want to put that in unless we pass it today. So, to encourage transparency. As class president, he has hosted successful senior events such as the Senior Met Gala Formal, And in committees, has chaired student organizations, serving for 3 years, chaired civic engagement, serving for 4 years, and been a member of IA and HSS in his time. Most recently, he spearheaded amendments, okay, I'll let add that, to the SGA Constitution that will change SGA forever and will regardless create discussion surrounding structural reform for the years to come. SGA would not exist in its current form without the hard work and perseverance of Nathan. We recognize the time and effort he has dedicated to this organization. We look forward to his speech at graduation and are ever grateful for his efforts. Okay. Whereas Senior Class Senator Angela Hussein is a 2-year SGA veteran serving on the Student Services and Health, Safety, and Sustainability Committees for her 2 years. So she was on the same committee for 2 years. She has focused her efforts and achieved great success with farmers market initiatives, SGRA sustainability initiatives, and Sex Week organization, along with many other projects to benefit student life. She was also a member of the Black Caucus for a year and helped establish the framework for free printing in the future. Yay, Angela! Not here, but it's okay. Whereas Senior Class Senator Grace Wang is a 2-year SGA veteran serving as Vice Chair of the Committee on Student Orgs, Co-Chair of the Committee on Civic Engagement, and served on the Committee for Student Services. She created a lasting legacy by changing the way SGA recognizes student organizations, pushed for Election Day to be recognized as a holiday, also worked on the Q2 resolution, promoted voter engagement among student orgs, Google auto-corrected that, thank you, and was a member of the WSC Curriculum Committee among her many other successful projects. Whereas Senior Class Senator Nikki Trivedi has been in SGA for just 1 year, but did not hesitate to dive in as she became chair of the WGMC, served on HSS and student org committees, supported pronoun initiatives at JHU, worked to support SGA processes in order to represent all students. Thank you, Nikki. All right. Whereas Senior Class Senator Pritika Parmar is a 3-year SGA veteran, serving as both class president and executive secretary. She served on the Finance, Civic Engagement, HSS, and Student Services committees. She worked to create SGA reform regarding the organization of committee membership, sponsor the Gun Safety Forum Invitations Bill, and encourage the construction of a student center. Thank you. Also, we're missing some stuff from this year because the legislation and workload stuff haven't been totally filled out, but we recognize what you did this year as well. Let me just add that on for all of this. Whereas Senior Class Senator Suba is a 2-year SGA veteran serving as co-chair of HSS and as a member of the Academic Affairs and Student Services Committee during her tenure. She's taken initiatives to work on COVID contact tracing, met frequently with administrations such as the deans, fought for student interests such as a post-Thanksgiving break, helped introduce the MSAC letter of support, and has always lifted the mood by showing us her cats. That was Elena. As well as academic initiatives. I don't know why she put that in there. I thought it was an inside joke. Maybe it's not an inside joke, but we can motion to amend that in the resolution.
I also was never co-chair of HSS. I'm co-chair of academic affairs.
I would like to be recognized as the chair of civic engagement because we do not talk about the other person. Thank you.
I wasn't gonna bring that up. Suba, if you would like to amend, there might have been an error when we were copying the information from the committee documents, so we can amend once I'm done presenting. Okay, we're now on
Veda.
Whereas Senior Class Senator Veda Chanda is a 2-year SGA veteran, serving as chair of academic affairs and as a member of the Finance and Health, Safety, and Sustainability committees. During his time, he pushed for COVID academic support for students and in mid-semester course evaluations, student grievance reporting system, and served on the Dean Search Committee as well as the curriculum committees. He will be remembered as a successful student advocate and his work will have impact for years to come. Whereas Junior Class Senator Obiano Nanya is a 2-year SGA veteran, serving as chair of finance and as a member of student organizations and student services during her time in SGA, as well as chairing the Black Caucus. She is graduating a year early and has spent her 3 years here in service of the student body, representing student interests, especially amongst the larger Black community, through her meetings with student leaders and administration. She's assisted with the overhaul of the finance process for student orgs and ensured smooth running of all funding through SGA. Thank you, Obi. Shout out to Obi. Alrighty, last but not least. Whereas Executive President Mahek Ali is a 4-year veteran of SGA with 2.5 years on the executive board, first as vice president, then most recently as president, and a great one at that. She has worked tirelessly to create a positive environment within SGA through the Committee on Open Input, Best Dressed Awards, as well as hosting successful SGA retreats, serving on the COVID Housing and Dining Committee in 2020, organizing President Daniel's events, presenting to the Board of Trustees, and guiding SGA into a bright future. She did a commendable job on transitioning SGA back to normalcy from the tumultuous COVID pandemic times, as well as leading the Senate during the uncertainty present during previous times. Beyond SGA, she is genuinely a wonderful person and brings light wherever she goes. Thank you for your years of service to the Senate, the students, the university, and all those you have helped. We will continue to uphold the legacy you have established. thank you for changing that. Whereas the graduating senators have done an amazing job across their collective years and experiences. We're all going to miss you so much. We're clapping for that too. Also, I am speaking on behalf of SGA. If you're not going to miss them, don't say anything. And ruin
Vote
the
nay
moment.
during our.
Okay. Therefore, be it resolved that the Student Government Association as a whole would like to extend its heartfelt thanks to its graduating seniors/juniors for their steadfast dedication to supporting the student body, their passion in improving Johns Hopkins University, the exemplary leadership of the Senate and the student body, and the lasting positive effects they have on us, this university, and beyond. The end. Suba, if you would like to go ahead and make your amendments to your section.
So dirty, bro.
I'm so sorry, that was not.
Motion to amend.
No, I have no
Can somebody text Elena and ask why she added in the cat section? Because that was the only funny bit. Everything else was all
Brianna, can you acknowledge me?
Yes, I acknowledge you.
Motion to amend that whereas Talia and Peter are also very lovely, and have done great, amazing work on their respective
You have to
committees.
have the exact language, so go ahead and type out the language, and then we will accept the proposed
Oh
amendment.
my god.
I'm sorry.
Where
we gotta
at?
follow the rule. We literally just used a template from the previous year, and I didn't know you were graduating early, Peter.
Point of information, there is a virtue in China where you do good things, but you don't leave your name behind, so I'm okay with that.
Okay, so we don't make that amendment then.
Talia, would you like it? Too late.
No, I didn't. No, it's not too late. I never accept. Nobody's voted on this amendment.
I know, but I'm sewing.
No, they don't want it. Don't put it in if they don't want it. No. That's a little creepy, but Suba, would you like to make the amendment? Would you like to motion to amend the information to be correct?
Yes, let me add it first.
Okay. I did not add showing someone's cats. I swear to God, that wasn't me. Elena, stop talking to me through the computer.
Edit logs. Find out.
Yeah.
Get to the bottom of this.
I think I know what it was. I think what happened was when we were taking the template over from the last one, I think yours didn't get totally backspaced. I'm gonna go ahead and.
So you hate me.
No,
Just-
I slept so little. I can't backspace all the things.
Motion to amend that Brianna hates Suba.
Wait, so who had cat?
No one. Never mind. I'm wrong. Somebody typed it. Oh my God. Okay. Motion to amend the language in this resolution. Can you motion to amend for Suba, please?
Whatever language you're amending.
For Suba. All in favor? Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay.
Just motion to amend quickly to remove co before chair on graces, and then to also add was lead on our successful Mac Allo formal as.
Can I get a second? All in favor? Opposed? Any abstentions? We really just erased him from history.
Also, I think I was never class president, not to call her out, but she was never a class president.
I didn't put you as class president. I had you as senator. When did that change? I'm so sorry.
I'd like some proof that I'm leaving my apartment to 2 executive board
Woo!
members.
Hey!
Leaving material goods, whereas you guys are leaving legacies.
I need a legal legacy of
Point of information, I am moving into Sam Mullen's old house, so there is now an established trend of exec people leaving to. You win for sure. Yeah. Okay. I second for Pritika's amendment to make her not class president. All in favor? Any opposed? Any abstentions? Are there any other changes we need to make to reflect the accuracy of your time in SGA here? Am I being talked about? No? Okay.
Motion to amend Grace's section.
I kind of like that. I wouldn't. All in favor? Any opposed? Any abstentions? Thank you, Grace. Beautiful. Yes, we can motion to vote. Would anybody like to have a moderated caucus or Q&A to talk to the seniors? They withdrew. If anybody would like
Motion to suspend Robert's rules so we can thank the seniors.
Can we pass it first and then suspend Robert's rules?
Motion to pass the legislation.
Motion to vote.
Can I get a second? Second. All right, all in favor of moving into voting procedure, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? We're now in voting procedure. All in favor of this resolution passing in the form it currently stands, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Alrighty, thank you. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Great. We can go ahead. We have a goodbye section, so we can go ahead. We'll do it during the goodbye.
Also, we should let our lovely guests leave before we spend time.
Yeah. Okay. Perspective. We're gonna go ahead and move on to perspective business. There's no advancing legislation. There's announcements. Announcements are, I'm gonna miss you guys. Thank you for a wonderful year. If you're not returning to SGA, we'll miss you. If you are returning, I will be with you for another year, barring any terrible accidents. I almost got hit by a car today. Okay. I don't know what's going on. Thank everyone for their service this year. You guys did great, and we really appreciate you. Like, genuinely, even if the student body might not know what we do, we know what we do, and it means a lot. So thank you. Anybody else have announcements? Again, we have a goodbye section. So, Karen.
Happy Blue Jays Students Day.
Oh my God!
Wow.
Any other announcements? We're gonna go ahead and do best dress, and then we do goodbyes, and then we end. So,
Can we
all right,
end and then do goodbye?
nominations for best dressed.
I nominate Mehek.
Mehek, stand up. Yeah, woo! Did you accept?
Yes.
Okay, somebody keep track of these because I will forget. Nathan.
I nominate Ireland.
Ireland, stand up. Very business casual. I like it, like the blazer. Do you accept?
Yes.
Alrighty, beautiful. Shalala.
I nominate Karen.
Karen, stand up. Do you accept?
I'm good, thank you.
Okay, she declines. So currently Ireland and Mehek are on, not on the table, that sounds wrong. Ireland.
I nominate Harvey because
I like the
it's
scarf.
really cute that he wore a scarf that his girlfriend made, even though it's so hot
Oh.
in here.
Stand up, Harvey. Do you accept? Okay. Anybody else? Talia.
I nominate Shalala.
Shalala, stand up. Alrighty, do you accept? Okay, do we have any other nominations? Currently, to be nominated, we have Mehek, Harvey, Shalala. Who did I forget?
Ireland.
Ireland. Mehek, Harvey, Shalala, Ireland. All right, heads down. You get one vote. If you'd like to vote for Mehek, please raise your hand. Can you count?
Okay, we're good. I got it.
Okay, heads, everything down. I'm so tired. I'm so
Heads
sorry.
down, thumbs up.
Harvey. Yeah. If you'd like to vote for Harvey, raise your hand. Okay, hands down. If you'd like to vote for Ireland, raise your hand. All right, hands down. If you'd like to vote for Shalala, raise your hand. Hands down. Heads up.
And
Our
the winner
final
is
best dressed of the year of ever, and also in her last term at SDA. Yeah. Okay, we can go ahead and move on to goodbyes. Bye.
Bye. Public input period.
Public input period. Well, we can say after and say goodbyes. Does anybody?
Madam President out.
Okay.
Guys, wave.
Seconded.
We're taking a
Those
goodbye
in
video.
favor?
We're taking a goodbye video.
Okay.
Bye.